start off tonight with prayer by Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance for those who would like to participate.
If you'd like to participate, please bow your head. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this beautiful day. Continue to bless our city, to keep our citizens safe, to protect and guide our leaders in the right direction for the city, Lord. Thank you for everything. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Young.
Present.
Councilmember Seals. Present. Councilmember Balls.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Present.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present.
Councilmember Braddock.
Present.
Councilmember Wiggins. Present. Councilmember Hammond.
Present.
And Mayor Moore.
Present.
You have all members present.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to our city council meeting. Council members, can you please silence your phones as well as your computers? Audience, if you would do the same, I sure would appreciate it. This is not an answer back on the public input. And so I'm asking that everybody stay to your 3 minutes, please. Stay to your 3 minutes. And please get your main points out so that we can understand and we can process them. Madam Clerk, do you have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor, we have a couple. City offices will be closed Friday, July 3rd in observance of Independence Day. And July 21st at 4 p.m. is the deadline to file for city council candidacy. There will be 1 2-year term and 4 4-year terms on the November 3rd ballot. Petition packets are available in the city clerk's office. Our next item is a proclamation recognizing the 250th anniversary of America's independence.
This proclamation will be read by Councilman Ostash.
Thanks, Mayor. City of Saginaw proclamation recognizing the 250th anniversary of America's independence. Whereas on July 4th, 1776, the Second Continental Congress adopted a Declaration of Independence, affirming that the fundamental principles of liberty, equality, self-government, and the unalienable right of all the people. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States of America, a historic milestone that provides an opportunity to reflect upon the nation's history, celebrate its achievements, and honor the generations of Americans who have worked to preserve and strengthen our democracy. And whereas throughout the past 2.5 centuries, Americans have demonstrated resilience, courage, innovation, and steadfast commitment to the ideals upon which our nation was founded. And whereas this anniversary serves as an occasion to recognize the contributions of citizens, veterans, service members, first responders, educators, community leaders, and countless others whose dedication has helped shape and strengthen our communities and our nation. And whereas the City of Saginaw is proud of its role in America's story and joins communities across the nation in commemorating this significant anniversary while inspiring future generations to embrace civic engagement, public service, and the responsibilities of citizenship. And whereas the semi-quasi-centennial 250th anniversary celebration encourages all Americans to reflect on our shared history, honor our diverse heritage, and reaffirm our commitment to the principles of freedom, opportunity, and unity. Now, therefore, I, Brenda F. Moore, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, do hereby proclaim that July 4th, 2026 as a day of recognition and celebration of the 250th anniversary of America's independence in the City of Saginaw, and urge residents to participate in the commemorative activities, learn about our nation's history, honor those who have served our country, and celebrate this enduring ideals of liberty and democracy that continue to unite us as Americans. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Saginaw to be affixed this 22nd day of June in the year of our Lord, 2026. Signed by Brenda F. Moore, Mayor. Council members Priscilla Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem, Michael D. Balls, Eric D. Braddock Sr., Carly R. Hammond, Bill Ostash, Jacinta Seals, Tobias Young, and Heidi G. Wiggins, and our City Manager, Tim Morales.
This put in our new showcase. We got on the second floor, so we really didn't have a group. But most cities around the state of Michigan and around the world are celebrating it, and I did not want Saginaw to not be in that pot. So, thank everybody.
Mayor, that takes us to public input.
I need you to speak clearly, remain courteous and respectful. You will be called up by name by the clerk. Everyone has 3 minutes. Please, if you can stay within those 3 minutes, we sure would appreciate it. This is not a question or answer period. Madam Clerk.
Our first speaker is Janita Pratt. No Janita? On to Melanie Velasco. All right. Chandelier Yarn canceled prior to the meeting, so we will move on to Jeff Bowles.
Greetings, council, city staff, citizens. I come before you very briefly. Haven't been here since some of the conversation that's been happening around Ojibwe. And so I just wanted to really just hit and quit real quick. Public, from what I understand from the community, public sentiment, which has been really clear. There's been 2 surveys. There's one survey that we started out with Saginaw Cap that we did with the community, and then one that the city administered as well. It is our observation that in both of those, the sentiment is very clear that the community wants the Ojibwe Park open totally, meaning the total drive, meaning driving in, turning right, going all the way around. That is what we've gotten from the community. We continue to get that from the community. And so I bring that sentiment to you guys, respectfully, of course. Please, please don't dismiss what the community wants. I know that, sentiment has been all over the place. Some people believe one thing, another thing, but I think it's very clear what the public wants. And you guys are a representative of the public, not yourselves. Again, respectfully, the community wants what it wants. You have the power to give them what they want. Us with Saginaw Cap, we respectfully request and demand that you give the community what they want. It's workable. It's not complicated. We don't have to complicate it. A hybrid model complicates it. The default measure honestly should be open. You can close it when you have events. It should be that way, not the other way around. Default open. When you have food trucks and other things that's in the drive, then you close it. Now you have the ability to do that with the guardrails and boulders and all that stuff. I think that's workable for everybody. And hopefully that you consider that and make that decision. On to what I gave you guys some email that I did send out to you guys. I don't know if you got it, but we're having on this Friday, we're inviting you to an elicitation process that we're putting on with a nationally recognized group called Neptune. Their information is in one of those packets as well. This is a process that we honestly could use in a process like Ojibwe and other processes like that, where you bring the whole community together and have a process to determine what a thing looks like. And so we hope that we can get you to come if you're free, if you're available. I think you'll enjoy it and we can move forward together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Katoya Richmond.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First, I'm giving honor to God who gave me the opportunity to speak here before the mayor, the council, and the residents of Saginaw. My name is Katoya Richmond. I am a lifelong resident of Saginaw. I have raised 2 sons and currently 4 children here in the city of Saginaw. I'm also a graduate of Saginaw High School. I state all that to say that my roots are deep in this city. I frequently, in the many years, used to frequent Ojibwe Island for many reasons. One, to just sit by the riverfront, watch the boats, watch the development of the Hamilton Street, to watch the natural habitat, especially the geese just going to the grassway areas. Many times I saw families fishing by the riverfront. I also witnessed families parking by the driveway, having picnics, enjoying their children. I don't know how much can be done about the boulders now, but that has limited families' ability to enjoy one another and just sit by and have a picnic. I many times went to this park during the day to just decompress from a long work day, or just to sit by and watch the riverfront during dusk to dawn, anytime that I chose to. I was not limited by what time I could go to the park, as long as it was within operating hours. Many times throughout my life, I would frequent the three main parks of Saginaw's historical history: Wicks Park, Ojibwe Park, and Hoyt Park. Those things are being limited now. And I ask you now, what is next? Hoyt Park to be limited from the use of going by and just driving by and seeing the activities that were going on. I state all this as a resident of City of Saginaw. I ask you not to vote to limit our access to the Ojibwe Park, to allow the residents to use the park in full choice of their nature, as long as they're within law-abiding things. You have the ability to close the park if there is an issue that arises, but do not limit us before something occurs. I understand safety, I understand trying to be proactive, but right now you're limiting individuals from just seeing the park and being able to enjoy it in the full nature that it has been. I haven't even been able to take my grandchildren, because they're young, to visit the park in the manner that I used to, which saddens me, because Ojibwe Island has been very historical in the City of Saginaw. So I state to myself, and I have responsibility too, that I have not always been knowledgeable of the issues of the City of Saginaw. But I stand here before you now being a more knowledgeable citizen, and will come before you more often to state my concerns that you are voting against on my behalf. And a vote against limiting my access will in turn will result in me being to use my vote as a means to speak out if I'm not happy with the things that the City Council votes against. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tonica Murphy.
Good evening, council and everybody in attendance. I'm here to add my voice to the many voices that want Ojibwe open completely to vehicular traffic. I understand you have a decision to make, and I really appreciate your democratic approach to this topic by putting out the survey. And I just ask that you make your decision with democracy in mind. I feel that the people have spoken. The majority want it open. And I hope that you vote for the people that elected you to office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Danita Dorsey.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Danita Dorsey, City resident, and I stand before you this evening requesting immediate enforcement action at liquor stores and commercial properties that have become recurring locations of violence, large gatherings, loitering, disorderly conduct, and other criminal activity. This issue is not simply what occurs inside these businesses. The issue is that certain properties have become chronic public nuisances that negatively impact surrounding neighborhoods, nearby businesses, and residents' quality of life. Now, we can't get Ojibwe Island fully reopened to the public and vehicular traffic because of statements from this council repeatedly that they are concerned about public safety and acts of violence. But when we talk to city police and when we talk to police officers from the Saginaw County Sheriff's Department, they tell us that violence was not an issue at Ojibwe. Yet, we have seen repeated acts of violence at liquor stores in our communities, and nothing is being done. There are already city ordinances in place under Section 111A, 2B, D, Section 113.30, B, C, D, and I. We already have these ordinances in place, and no enforcement is being done. Any of these liquor stores, not just Quick Stop, Stop and Shop, a loved pastor in this community was almost killed because of a shooting that happened at a Quick Stop where children play in a park right across the street, and this council was doing nothing to enforce these issues. So as a city resident, we want enforcement of property maintenance requirements, inspection and enforcement of surveillance camera requirements, enforcement against loitering, trespassing, disorderly conduct, littering, and public intoxication, identification of commercial properties, generating excessive police calls for service, and designation of those locations as chronic nuisance properties when appropriate. These are actions that the city council can take right now. We ask that you take action immediately, or we will take action in November and vote for other city council members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Debbie Melconian.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Debbie Melconian. I'm the president of the Adams Boulevard Neighborhood Association, and my address is 2116 Adams Boulevard. I'm here this evening to thank you for the resolution that was made at the June 8th council meeting. That statement of purpose and the ballot question for the November 3rd election was approved by the city council, and I thank you. A group of 10-plus residents have been formed, and we call ourselves Restored Saginaw Committee. And it's meeting on a regular basis to get this ballot question passed by the citizens of Saginaw. Our main goal is to educate the public by holding public informational meetings at various sites on both the east and west side of Saginaw. The next informational meeting is the 24th of June, and that will be at First Presbyterian Church at 6 o'clock. We urge the public to attend one or all of these sessions, and they will be advertised so residents can become familiar with the facts. We encourage any questions that they may have before voting in the November election. The facts are clear and accurate and will be explained to anyone who asks for further information. Excuse me. We're developing a mailing and a media list, and we'll attend all the neighborhood meetings to get the facts out to the public. We encourage your support during the weeks and prior to the election in November. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Thomas Roy.
Hello, my name is Thomas Roy, and accompanying me is Diane. She's not going to speak yet, but she will later. Thank you, Mayor Moore, Pro Tem Mayor Garcia, council members, city manager, as well as the city clerk. Diane and myself are here to basically thank the city of Saginaw for allowing us to have the Saginaw area fireworks. As you know, it's 250 years, and of course, we try to make Saginaw the best it can possibly ever be, beating that city up north, which I forget what its name is. It's Bay City, just kidding. But before that, I want to also thank not only the council, but also the people like Phil Carwatt, Tim Morales, and also all the workers that make sure that the 4th of July is as a successful event ever. We do pride ourselves in making Saginaw the best fireworks in the county, basically in the state. We are one of the largest fireworks display on the 4th of July in the state of Michigan. And of course, we do raise the flag on July 4th, which starts at 9 a.m. We believe we bring people together from all walks of life to raise that flag. Veterans, police officers, fire. And what we do is we raise it at 10. Well, we start raising it at 10. Congresswoman McDonald Rivet will be doing the pledge. And then we'll have a couple awards for the person that made the flag. And that's about it. you have anything? Can she talk now after I'm done?
If you're done, yeah.
Okay, I'm done. There, now it's your turn.
Hello.
Rules, I hate rules.
And again, I'd like to say thank you for all your support. We appreciate you. The Saginaw Fireworks is a great way to bring our community together from all over Saginaw County. We have people coming into the city, so I thank you for that. If you go to our website on Facebook, please do so. You can make donations through Venmo or Cash App. Or we have barcodes right here, if anyone would like one of these cards. And when you see it, please just put it out there and share the information. Thank you.
Thank you.
All for the money.
Mayor, that takes us to remarks of council.
Council members, you also have 3 minutes. We will start tonight with Councilwoman Seals.
Fun times. Madam Mayor, I just want to say that summertime is here, and I've been seeing a lot of kids out in the neighborhoods, and especially my neighborhood. A lot of people are driving up and down the streets very fast, and just want to tell Saginaw just to slow down in the neighborhoods. I know our side streets are really bad. So please just slow down in our neighborhoods when we are at home, especially in the evenings. Their kids are out, they're not at school, so please be mindful of that. There are many programs that are actually started this summer. Please get your kids out, get them something to do this summer that's intentional, that keeps them busy, out of trouble, and that gets them thinking, and so they won't lose brain knowledge this summer. So I just want to speak positive about our youth, because we've seen enough negativity over this past month and a half. So I just want to put that in our hearts and our minds at the beginning of the summer, so that we can continue, hopefully, going down a positive road for the rest of this summer with our youth. Other than that, Madam Mayor, I'm all set.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Balls.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a lot to say today, but I would like to let the public know that when the park do open, it's going to be a different park with different scenarios happening around there. Hopefully, we won't have people doing the things they used to do, speeding on the grass, children getting hit by cars and stuff like that. We don't want that to happen again. So I think that we're doing the right approach at trying to make this park open and safe for everybody to be there. So I'm looking forward to it opening myself. Hopefully it will be open July the 5th. That's where I met my wife at. So hopefully we can celebrate our anniversary again there at the park. Hopefully she won't be dropping me off at the park like I picked her up before, so I'm looking forward to that. So other than that, I'd like to report that we did have a fabulous Juneteenth celebration at the Morley Park this weekend, and it was great, attended by a lot of kids. They had games to play, food to eat. The African dances was absolutely fabulous. If you had been there, you'd have really seen a nice show. Had the opportunity to take my great-granddaughter there, and she had a good time hanging around with young girls her age. So it's really a good day for the kids in the city of Saginaw to be able to participate in the Juneteenth celebration. Today I just left a meeting at 5:30. We're going to be doing a Rites of Passage program for teen boys from the age of 13 to 18. And the Rites of Passage program would include cultural, financial, how to act in public, all those things a young man need to know that they normally would learn if they had a father at home. So hopefully, I've been in the Big Brother and Sister program for almost 40 years, and it's a one-on-one mentoring program. But this Rites of Passage program is going to be more like a village. A lot of the village elders will come in and help teach the kids how to be proper students and the things, conflict resolution and things of that nature. So we're looking forward to teaching those kids those things, because if they're not getting it at home, where are they going to get it at? So I'm just happy to report that we're looking forward to that. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Ostash.
Thanks, Mayor. Excuse me. Jeff, I did get your email, and the one before, I'm out of town this weekend, but good luck. It looks like it's going to be a wonderful event that you guys are putting on, so thanks for doing that. And we're talking about, they've talked about the island a little bit. We had the opportunity to tour the island. I know boulders were brought up tonight. They are far enough apart that you can get wheelchairs through and equipment if you have to. We're just trying to keep the cars off the grass. And I think it looks beautiful. But thanks for coming out and sharing that concern with us. It was brought up about violence on the island, and I know that we talked about the violence in the liquor stores, and I've seen some of the social media posts on that. Thank you for bringing that to the public's attention. The island as well has also had some issues before. Some of the council members that are here now from the last election, we were provided 911 call logs, and it was quite surprising to see sexual abuse was maybe like the #1, and then along with drugs and guns, and there was domestic violence. So that did subside when the island was closed, so that's where we're kind of watching this time to see what's going to happen so we can keep our residents safe. But thank you for coming out and sharing. I did hear you. And also, Danita, you brought up the city ordinances under the manager's report tonight. Some of the things that you were mentioning is exactly in this ordinance that I introduced for discussion at our last meeting. So thanks for bringing that up. And I think it's going to be a good conversation between us here at the table. Debbie, thank you for your group I know you've done a lot of work with the tax cap. I've attended some of your meetings, and seeing stuff on social media. I have something already written up that I can post, the truth of how this all works with taxable value amounts and what this will cost people. And people have thanked me for putting that out there because they didn't understand. They did come back though and say, well, my taxes are still going up every year. Well, we do have other millages that are based off taxable values of homes too. So if your home value goes up, those millage rates, those that you're paying will go up as well. So your bottom line, you're going to see increasing. But that July line item for the property taxes, that stays stagnant pretty much as we adjust the millage rates for that. So thank you for coming out and bringing that to our attention. And fireworks, folks, Debbie and Tom, thank you. I will be in town, so I will raise the flag again this year. We'll have Kevin there in spirit with us because we always did that with you every year. And then I'm looking forward to the show. So thanks, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Braddock.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to welcome and thank everyone that spoke today. Ojibwe Island it's going to be open. I'm looking forward to enjoying Ojibwe once it's open, especially on the 4th and afterwards. I like riding up there myself, so I'm looking forward to the Ojibwe Island opening. And I think that we have to understand that Ojibwe is the city's jewel. And I think that it's our mission, our goal is to protect it, and protect. A lot of money been put into Ojibwe, and so, but I'm looking forward to, I think with this council, everybody's looking forward to being open. And I think also as time go on, we can make adjustments and make changes as time goes on for the needs. So, but I know everybody's looking for it to be open. The park will be open, so. I don't want people to have the narrative like the city council is voting to close it down. So let's kill that narrative. But Ojibwe is a big thing, and I'm looking forward to be open and for everyone to enjoy the summer. The tax cap resolution, I think that that's good. I would like to be in that meeting, and hopefully we can get more people out in the community, get them educated on the tax cap. Get a lot of questions from that. And a lot of people are looking for answers. And also far as, we also talked about the fireworks. So I'm looking forward to the fireworks this year. Bring the city out, bring the community out and everything. But and also, just last but not least, the Juneteenth celebration. I was able to be in the parade and enjoy the festivities and see the city come out. And so there's a lot of people in the community that's doing things and that's reaching out and outreaching and trying to make things happen, but forward though, we have to think about safety, public safety, and our youth and our elderlies, ensuring that we take care of those people and those demographic of people in our community, ensuring that our future of Saginaw is going to be bright. And so that's all I have to say, and that's it.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilwoman Wiggins.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy belated Juneteenth, everyone. A lot of lovely events that were kind of mentioned already happened this weekend, and I enjoyed being in the parade. Thank you to all the organizers that helped put that together, and the city staff that helped kind of navigate that. Appreciate it. It was great seeing so many people of the community out. I really enjoyed it. Thank you to all the speakers tonight. A lot of topics have already been mentioned. Ojibwe, of course, being the top of the list. Of course, we want to listen to the community and do it in a safe manner. And we appreciate your thoughts and your expressions. As far as what Ms. Dorsey mentioned, appreciate you really talking about that. As Councilman Ostash mentioned, we are currently working on an ordinance that is being drafted right now to give what we already have in our city charter more teeth so that our officers can actually perform their job and get things done on private property. If someone doesn't complain, say a liquor store doesn't complain, they have the right to have people in their parking lot. So we're working on that ordinance to get that more clear, and so that our officers can do their job. But again, appreciate everyone's comments tonight. We thank you for taking the time and being involved in your city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilwoman Hampton.
Thank you. And thank you to all our speakers for coming out in public comment. I attended this past week the Saginaw Housing Commission meeting, which I made a point to get out to because the city likes to separate itself from our Housing Commission. And there has been growing issues that residents are reporting. They were designated as troubled in a previous year. In fact, I think for fiscal year 20, I don't want to misquote, but that it actually happened over a year ago. I was not made aware until recently that they had been given that trouble designation because of a high vacancy status, even while they had hundreds of people on their wait list. So just for a brief history, we did sign a separation agreement with our Housing Commission in 2004 under the Darnell early days. I do have copies of that agreement if other council members want to view it. There's a slight amendment made in 2005. That was mostly so that we could try to give a buyout to the workers there and undercut the union to save costs, a lot of what Rick Snyder did with the teachers buyout in a later year. I think that separation has led to more problems than it solved. And I think that despite what the separation agreement says, we still appoint their board. We still bear responsibility. We still have a relationship with our Housing Commission that we need to work on because these are our residents. The Saginaw Housing Commission does cover the entire county with housing aid vouchers, but every single public housing complex that they manage is within the city of Saginaw. And I think that we need to take better care to have a better relationship with our Housing Commission, to hear their concerns and to work with them to get needed funding and review points of that separation agreement if they're presenting more hurdles to them getting funding from the state, to us helping them out when they need help. One of the things that they have an issue with right now is they can't fill their maintenance positions, which happens to be something also that the city of Saginaw has with our parks maintenance position. So maybe we could get together with a spirit of collaboration on that. I also think that, we took a tour of Ojibwe Island, I think a week and a half ago, and I do have concerns. The one-way setup for this hybrid opening, the roadway is very narrow. It's like 18 feet across in some sections. I think that's going to cause issues. There's a very narrow shoulder. I'm not sure if the boulders were moved so that they were far enough apart to get wheelchair access through. That was a point that I had made. I didn't like that adding extra lighting in the park was dismissed because people aren't supposed to use the park after dark. I think we have two separate narratives there. One being that we want to make the park safer, however people choose to use it, especially for pedestrians, and we want to try to curb the behavior of how we think people should be using the park versus how they tell us they want to use the park. And so I'm concerned with this narrative that, we put out a survey out there, got results, and threw away the ideas that we didn't like. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Councilman Young.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and to the public speakers. I also had a chance to attend the Juneteenth parade. It was very nice. Wish it was an even bigger turnout because it was put together really nicely, and I enjoyed it. And I was only able to stay for a little while, because I don't know if many of you noticed, I've been like limping, and it's been more and more progressive over time, and it wasn't healing. So when I went to my doctor, they said that my Achilles is severed. So Wednesday I'll be undergoing the surgery, so I won't be able to attend a lot of the events and stuff like how I've been doing in the past, but I still have a responsibility, so I'll shift that responsibility to more administration, doing some paperwork behind the scenes, so when I get back on my feet, literally, I can, get back to working, because, when you take this seat, even when you go through personal issues, you still have a responsibility to the community, so I'll continue to do that, but I just have to shift my presence instead of physically being places, which that's what I like to do the most, is to put my eyes on things. So that's why I requested that tour of Ojibwe Island, because we talked about it so much, and it's like I don't like to talk about anything that I haven't seen. So when I did the tour, you might see I limped around all of Ojibwe Island with a severed Achilles. It was what I asked for, but I had to see it. So I've been kind of pushing through a lot of pain to get some things done, because like I said, I have a responsibility that I have to fulfill. So, I'm just a person who don't ask for help too much. I should have sat down a long time ago. I was pushing through the pain, and so now I'm forced to sit down. So some things happen for a reason. So, and I've never had an injury before, and never been to surgery. So it kind of, I know God has more work for me to do, and he'll keep me, but at the same time, the human side of me has me kind of nervous to not have my faculties and be out, for a surgery for, 4 hours. So, if you would pray for me, and next time you see me, hopefully I'll just be on crutches. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Good evening, concerned citizens of the community. Thank you guys for coming out to talk about the concerns that are going on in the city. It helps us when we're not able to be out there to know what's going on. I do follow social media, and I do see the input with a lot of things. And I don't respond. I'm listening and taking it all in and seeing what's being said and what concerns are out there. A lot of folks don't come down here in public comment, and it would be nice if they did. A lot of them like to go to social media, and everybody's not a public speaker. I understand that. So I do take into consideration what they're putting out there, because it is our job to be aware of what's going on in our community and the citizens we are serving. So I just want to say with Ojibwe Island, it will be opening. That is great news that we will be doing hopefully within the next few weeks, having that open. Change, is always different for a lot of people. I've known since I've been younger that with every job or anything position, there's changes, and at first it's hard for us to accept them, but then we learn to adapt to them, right? So and what changes, like I said with Ojibwe Island, try it out, see how it is. We don't like it, go back to the drawing board and try something else that works for everybody. So I'm excited to see it in full swing and operating again. So thanks for bringing up those concerns. I know it's been closed a long time. It was closed before I got on council, so I'm excited to see it open. Thank you for Tom and Diane for coming to talk about the fireworks. I always enjoy coming and raising the flag. That's just so patriotic to be down there. It's such a vibe. If you've never been down there to volunteer, get down there at 9 o'clock. Yeah, it's early, but it's so festive, and it's our 250th year to do it, so I'm looking forward to that. And I just want to say last week I attended the Bliss Park, which I seen Mayor there as well, our resource fair, and it was very good. There was a lot of organizations out there that are doing the work, getting information out there. It was nice to see DHS out there, and I was talking to them. I'm a big advocate for my seniors. A thing that I see is there's a lot of disconnect with our seniors as them getting services such as food stamps or their insurance. They call, they have to leave a number, and they can't hear when they call back. So I'm working on something with that, and maybe even at the higher level. I don't think it's just a Saginaw thing. I think it's a statewide level that a lot of our seniors are getting left out because a lot of things are online or on the phones, and they're not from that era. We need to be able to service all citizens, not just selective. So that's one of my goals that I will be working on, advocating for my seniors. I think that's a disconnect right there. So That's all I have to say. Just have a happy 4th of July. Stay safe, be vigilant, and just be mindful of the other around you. I had 2 emergencies this past weekend that I partaked in, being the heroic person that I am and social worker, that I had to help save 2 people Friday and Saturday. So I was like, I'm taking off Sunday. But yeah, just be mindful of the people around you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Thank all of our public speakers for coming in. It's repetitious to keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, especially because I'm the last one. So you've heard the thank yous, the concerns. I really need to, maybe I missed something, but at the last meeting, we talked about Ojibwe, and we talked about giving it a couple of months to see how it was before we came back to the table if that wasn't working to make it work. I am in support of opening Ojibwe, but I'm truly concerned with safety. I understand everybody, and you know, if this were a different time and era, maybe, but I don't want to take the chance. We don't need to take the chance. So I would rather be safe than sorry. So when I talked about, we said, I think it was 60 days. Give it 2 months. Let's see how it is. If it's not working, go back and redo it. Understand me, nothing that's decided is permanent. Everything can change. But when it begins to change, we can't keep changing because you're bored. We can't keep doing that. We've got to get a consensus of this council, and then you have to get a consensus of the people in the community. I would love to see all of us work together. I don't see that happening. Because everybody got hidden agendas. And if they don't have a hidden agenda, you don't want to listen. I don't have a problem with listening, sitting down with anybody. At this point, we had a beautiful, at Morley Plaza, they had a beautiful, beautiful activity on Saturday and Friday. No trouble, no trouble. And we say it's because we had police. No, we didn't. We had reserves. No reserves. That's the kids say, oh, they toy cops. I'm like, no, they not. No, they not. They trained too. But I'm saying that to say this. If we all could just begin to think about working together, I just truly believe the city would be so much further ahead. And people always saying what they will do. Stop talking about it, be about it. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, that takes us to reports from the manager.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have 2 presentations this evening, so we want to get to those, but just a few items before that. As requested at the previous council meeting, the city attorney has forwarded a draft nuisance gatherings ordinance to city council and for review, and we can come back to that following the presentations, but we'll proceed with that ordinance as directed by council, the next steps that you want to take with that. I do want to also mention a few projects that council members have been working on since housing was brought up. Councilman Braddock has taken a lead, and he and I did meet with Dr. Roberts from the school, Saginaw Public Schools, about some of their properties and potential development, and also the director of the Housing Commission to talk about what plans are, particularly for vacant properties and moving forward, and how can we utilize those. Potentially, it could be state funding available if we can get a plan together for that. Councilman Young has also been very actively looking at vacant properties and housing development, particularly with land bank properties. He's been working with our staff on getting those out to really small-scale developers who are interested in developing rental housing and have some rental housing in the city already. So those are 2 things that we are looking at with regard to housing. I also want to mention the Saginaw Soup Pitch Competition is this Thursday, June 25th at the SVRC Marketplace. In the ballroom, doors open at 5 p.m. with presentation beginning at 5:30. We have 5 local entrepreneurs who will pitch their business ideas after completing months of business and presentation training. The top 3 will win prizes, and attendees can help select the People's Choice winner. Admission is $5, and all proceeds will be awarded to the People's Choice recipient. And Saginaw Soup is a joint effort between Saginaw Future, the SEDC, SBDC, CMURC, and the City of Saginaw, and the Saginaw DDA. It's sponsored by the DDA. A few council members also mentioned, I'd like to congratulate the First Ward Community Center on their 32nd annual Taste of Soul event, which was Friday and was also a Juneteenth fundraiser. It was very well attended. I know they sold over 300 tickets for that event. And also, I was able to get a tour of the facility from Director Rob Brown, one of their board directors. As you know, they had ARPA allocation, so they've been working on that. It's very impressive work done, and it's looking great. And they should be done with that soon. Also, I think this is the 3rd or 4th year that our staff, Rachel Hozeska and Vicki Davis in our office, has coordinated and published the Hot Times summer youth activities. Again, we have a QR code that can be scanned so parents can have that on their phone. There's over 44 pages of events that are this summer for youth. There's also Saginaw Celebrate Summer out if you want to share that with the youth. It's a great document and also has multiple events all summer for youth. So I want to thank our staff, Vicki and Rachel, as well as the sponsors for the Saginaw Celebrate Summer for putting that together. Our first presentation is from an organization that really has stepped up over the years. They saw a need there at Hoyt Park and put together an organization. They've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably over $1 million to invest in the park. So we want to give them an opportunity to show council what they've been doing and what their future plans may be. So we have Chico Ramos here from Friends of Hoyt Park.
Oh, turn on, that's right. Thank you for having me here today. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. I'm already breaking everything. Sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor Moore, City Council, and City Manager Morales. Thank you for having me here. My name is Chico Ramos. I am the event coordinator and park director of Hoyt Park. Tonight, I'm kind of going to share with you a little bit about the investment, the return on investment at Hoyt Park, and also community. I think it's very important what Hoyt Park has done in the last couple of years since the Memorial Cup and the ARPA funds, and how it's really impacted the city and everything around Hoyt Park in general. But first, I'd like to start out by recognizing our Friends of Hoyt Park board, because it's super important. I think the board that we have has been exceptional, and I think that's the only way to run a program is having a good board and have the right people on there to make decisions that are good for the city and Hoyt Park. First, we have Larry Breathauer. You know, he's our president. I'm sure he's spoken here before, and he's done a great job for really promoting Hoyt Park from the beginning. You know, really with other volunteers, putting together a board to make sure that everything was running the way it should be. Next, we have Brian Leckel, who is our Director of Saginaw County Parks and Recreation. Again, he's been a valuable asset to have at Hoyt Park, especially with his experience working with Parks and Recreation. Dan Canal, our treasurer. We also have Jeanette Friars from the Saginaw County Parks and Rec. She runs the Little League down at Hoyt Park, which has been very successful. This year we have, I think we've out of spots for our Little League, they're already sold out. You can't even get a spot in the Little League. That's how many little kids are playing down in the Little League. Anne-Marie Bukowski, she is Saginaw Positive Downtown Results. She's another great asset that we brought on board to help with a lot of things that she's doing with the city of Saginaw itself. We have our former council member, Dan Fitzpatrick. Dewey McCoy, a board member, and Thomas Mudd. We also have Jay Guston from the city of Saginaw as well. And we brought Jay on board because we wanted to be transparent with the city. We wanted to make sure that we followed all the rules and procedures that the city has. You know, we run the park, Friends of Hoyt Park, but it's owned by its citizens. It's owned by the city. And we want to make sure we take care of it. And transparency for us is very important. Investment in Hoyt Park. The revitalization of Hoyt Park was made possible through the partnership of public and private investment. And the first one is the Memorial Cup Legacy Fund. We were one of 4 entities that was picked through the Memorial Cup for the investment in revitalizing Hoyt Park. Hoyt Park at the time was given $1.6 million to reinvest into the park. The parks needed a lot of work, and the restoration to that park was badly needed. And I think that made through that Memorial Cup was possible for us to get our foot in the ground. The Dick Garber Foundation, along with the Memorial Cup, has been beneficial to Hoyt Park and making sure Hoyt Park was revitalized. The ARPA funds, thank you to the city for giving us ARPA funds. Our road that was on the Lower Bowl Road needed much needed repairs. And now, we were down there last weekend, we probably had 50 walkers on Friday. Friday morning, you see a lot of people walking, citizens of the city of Saginaw walking, know they can go to a park and feel safe, walk down the road, and enjoy the park at Hoyt Park. State and local grants, Friends of Hoyt Park fundraising, community donors, local business sponsors. These projects cannot be funded by one organization alone. We needed a lot of help. And it represents what can happen when the community invests in itself. Here's just a picture of old Hoyt Park. Back in the heydays, and this is where we want to be. This is where we want Hoyt Park to be now. Community partners drive success. Again, the city of Saginaw, I can't say this enough about the crew over at the city. Jay Guston, Ed Medell, Phil Carwatt have done a great job, and along many others of the city of Saginaw. They may not have the funds to run city parks and recreation, but they assisted in anything we need. We had some issues with water backup at the park. They were there on the spot to make sure everything was fixed. Anything that we needed at the park, when we were doing a lot of the modernization of the park, they were there to help us. I can't say it enough. That first thing when I became director was building that partnership with the city right away. And I wanted to make sure that we had that partnership and going forward, because without that, I don't think we would have been as successful as we did. Saginaw County Parks and Recreation, of course, has their Little League down there, and it's very successful. Saginaw Public Schools. One of the things I reached out to, one of the other jobs that I have is I also work with Saginaw ISD, workforce development and career development. And one of the things I work at Saginaw United is one of 6 schools that I work at. And connecting with Saginaw Public Schools, especially their baseball year, their fields weren't ready. And the coach called me at the end of the year and he says, "Chico, you saved our season." Because they played some of the games at Hoyt Park and they practiced there. And I also connected with Tracy Johnson from Saginaw Public Schools as athletic director, and we were able to hold a camp for city kids, 3rd grade through 5th grade, and it was very successful. We had 31 students that were able to attend those camps. I can't say enough about Great Lakes-based Saginaw. They also assisted in bringing other organizations down to Hoyt Park. And I'll get to that in a minute, but Tim Shelton has been a great asset to use in getting more sports tourism to Saginaw. And a lot of our data comes from them on how we do at the park. We meet with them constantly to see what the data says about what areas we need to improve on to make it vital for Saginaw. Again, I work with the Saginaw ISD School to Work program. And one of the nice things about the program at Hoyt Park is that we're able to hire students down at the park for the summer. And it's an investment with the School to Work program at Saginaw ISD to help pay for those funds for those students to work down there. So a lot of the workforce development during the week, if you see those fields chalked and the park looks clean, it's because of those kids that are paid through the Saginaw ISD through the Workforce Investment Act. Local business sponsors, community volunteers. These partnerships help maximize the programming while maintaining taxpayer burden. Uh, Hoyt Park is no longer a seasonal park. We host about 20 plus tournaments. We start in the second week in April, and we are not done until November 1st, which is the kickball tournament. It's held through Brian Lecco and his organization. Again, if you were there at the park last weekend, we probably held our biggest tournament. We had 55 teams at Hoyt Park. Can you imagine how many people were there at the park? Anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 people were at the park using the park. And if you go anywhere outside of Saginaw during that time, or I'm sorry, outside of Hoyt Park, the restaurants are busy. The hotel, we have 300 plus families that are staying in hotels in Saginaw Township and far beyond. We want to make sure that our families, the people that are coming, that they're taken care of and they're coming to Saginaw and it's safe. We have youth leagues, adult leagues, school programming, summer camps, community events. One of the things that I installed was being more community. We worked with the Mustard Seed this year. They had the coldest night of the year walk, and they were able to raise $16,000 for their cause, which was a great organization, and many other organizations that do the same thing. Mayor, we have the Easter egg or Easter basket giveaway, and that's such a wonderful event that we have at Hoyt Park. We also do the Christmas giveaway where all the food trucks get together by Old Town Wonder and give away a lot of free food. I think they gave over 2,000 meals last year, and that was at Hoyt Park. We have 5 skating events during the winter. Winter has picked up more. We had our first annual hockey tournament, which included 21 teams from all over the area. And a lot of those teams did not go to the UP to play. They played here in Saginaw, and they invested in coming to Saginaw. If you were here that weekend, you should have seen how many people were at the park, because we also had the Owl House races on that same day. It was a great success. Through the years, Hoyt Park has gone through some investments. The restoration project for the warming house, in the beginning, and I think it was 2011 or 12, inside the warming house. If you're going there now, it's really nice. It's been actually renovated again with new flooring, new drop ceiling. It looks great. So if you ever get a chance to come see it, during the weekend, the warming house is open to everyone. This was the construction of the front part of, This was the construction of the front part of the Hoyt Park. This is beautiful now. I mean, I think we had wood steps there in the beginning, but now it's all concrete in, and it's safe for everybody to use. It's beautiful. This is the pavilion that is built on the upper road. This was kind of going to be the replica of the one that was there back in the 40s, I think, that was torn down. If you've ever been in there, since we built this thing has been rented out a lot of times, and it's inexpensive to rent out. It's only $75 if you want to rent the space out. So there's a lot of entities that are looking to rent this out on weekends. The inside, you see here, not so long ago, the pavilion was named after Larry and Dawn Breathauer. The 21.7 seconds represents the seconds left on the clock when the Spirit won the CHL Memorial Cup. And this is just the backdrop itself of the pavilion. Just the backdrop itself with the pavilion, the ball fields behind it is beautiful. This is the lower pavilion that was built, and also the new canopy and stadium seats that we have. So we restored one full baseball diamond, aluminum bleachers, shade structures, upper and lower pavilion. We have LED lighting on all 3 fields. We put a digital sign up front at Hoyt Park, and a lot more improvements coming soon. Economic impact and return on investment. Sports tourism It's the fastest growing industry in the country. Average weekend at Hoyt Park, approximately $250,000 in direct spending. You know, I am a travel dad. I was the president of the Jets organization at one time, and I know what I spent taking kids to destinations for sports. And we spent money when we travel places. And what this is saying is people are coming to Saginaw and they're spending money. And we know that also by the amount of trash that we have. You wouldn't think trash would be just trash, but trash says money. People are spending it and we have a lot of it. And so it's really making an impact around our community. 7-Eleven down the street, I talked to the manager there, and he said that they can't keep enough people on staff because of how busy they are. At the gas station, any place down Old Town, if you go into those places while we're having a tournament, good luck getting in an hour early. I mean, you got to get there, order an hour, couple hours early before you can get something to eat. That's how busy they are. Visitors support hotels, restaurants, gas stations, retail business, children's zoo, the SVRC marketplace, local attraction. 20-plus tournaments weekend, over $5 million annually for the city of Saginaw and surrounding communities. That's a lot of money that is going back to the city, that return on investment. Here is the ribbon cutting for Larry and Dawn Brethauer. You can see the people involved. There's Dick Garber next to him. Oops. I'm sorry, I'm skipping over here. One of the great things that we had last year, and thanks to Tim Shelton, was bringing USA Softball back. That was a huge part of getting them. They have not been here in over 30 years. It was the last time they held a state tournament. And they chose Saginaw. Of all places they could have went to, they chose Saginaw because of the area that we host. We had the hotels, again, restaurants. And when organizations choose Hoyt Park, they choose Saginaw. Every visitor supports local business and our local economy. If you look at the dollars spent on accommodations, hotels is probably the one of them. As Tim Shelton calls, beds and heads. Restaurant meals, $185. Groceries, $62. Concessions, $41. So money is being spent at one or more restaurants when they're here for the weekend. They usually arrive on Friday and they leave late Sunday, depending on what time they leave the tournament. Hoyt Park is just more than about sports. It's about developing future leaders. These were the kids that were part of the camp that we had last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We had, again, this was the next day, there was a lot of kids, but this is why we have the park the way we do, is for the future of Saginaw and the kids that we have growing up here. We want them to have something to do, and we're going to try to bring in more activities to Hoyt Park. I think this year, working with Brian Lecco and a couple other organizations, we're going to bring flag football back to Saginaw as well. We want to make sure that sports really brings kids into the spotlight and gets them out of trouble, and gets them doing something that occupies their mind, and sports tourism is one of them. Why it matters, young people engage in positive activities. Today's participants become tomorrow's employees, business owners, coaches, volunteers, and community leaders. Key message, the return on investment at Hoyt Park is not measured by dollars, it's measured by the lives that impact the opportunity we create for the next generation. This is Hoyt Park with the new LED lighting. Looks wonderful. Hoyt Park delivers results: community partnership, economic development, tourism growth, workforce development, youth opportunities, community pride, $5 million in annual economic impact, 20 tournament weekends, year-round programming, and thousands of participants and visitors. Last questions.
Do we have any questions?
Any questions?
Just a comment, man. You guys doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I played not over baseball down there a few years ago as a kid, and it really looks good. It really looks good. Yeah.
Yes.
Quick question, what are the park hours during the summer?
The park hours are really in the morning. I mean, 7 a.m. to about, we don't let no tournaments go past 10 o'clock. At that time, that's when we turn off the lights and park is closed till the next morning.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment. I was out there at the ribbon cutting, and that was the first time I had been in Hoyt Park in a while, and I was kind of amazed at like the heaters for, you know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can go under there when you do rent it, you got the tall heaters and everything and amenities, and I know you had the presentation out there was a few more things that you were projected to do. I think it was like the bathrooms or
Yeah,
something.
we're in talks of and adding a bathroom, a children's play park.
Yes.
And I think the upper road is, we're looking at getting the upper road fixed as well.
But even as it is, it's really nice, you know, even like how the new bleachers right there and everything, so I had a chance to see everything, and I hadn't been there in years.
You know, and like I said, it took a community to get that together. It wasn't just one entity. The city of Saginaw, I can't thank you guys enough for what you guys have done for the Hoyt Park and getting to, like I said, we'd love to get Ojibwe Island, but it needs to be structured in a way that you can get people to come and come safely, definitely.
I just
Thank
have a comment. I just want to say thank you guys for your team, and Larry was very advocate. He came down for the ARPA dollars and that, and it was really great. The seeing what you guys done. I'm sure you're not going to bring back the toboggan sledding.
No.
Okay, yeah, because it's dangerous. I don't know if
It was on the list, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. So what were the hours when the, because I want to go check it out, the concession stand where the hot chocolate and that was, what are the hours for that?
Usually those start in the, usually they're like midday, because they usually start like at 11 o'clock to about 4 o'clock
Okay.
for hot chocolate. You talk about the winter.
Well, I just want to go see it in general. I just remember I used to skate at one time.
Oh, if you want to come see
the
the park, or anytime you want to come see the park, you want a tour of what we've done. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm there with a group of students that are working as an oversight for a lot of those ISD students or Saginaw public school students that are there. So I'm there from 9 to 2 every day. And then on the weekends, I'm there hosting the tournaments and things like that.
All right, thank you.
Just a comment too, Kevin used to talk about the park, like, back in the day before the diamonds were built. I think it's great that we have baseball diamonds, but it was either the largest in the state or the largest in the nation ice skating rink.
Yes.
It was one of the two. I think it was America.
Yeah, I think it was in America. I think Russia had the largest at one
Yeah,
time.
that's Mr. Blood, but yeah. But, no, it's been fun to watch this morph over the years, and even what you said you're gonna do to it is gonna be fantastic, more stuff, especially for the kids, but you talked about the economic development portions of it too. With the medical diamond, the new retail, commercial, and everything that's going there, we're gonna give them even more restaurants to go to.
Right.
And hopefully, yeah, so thank you, it's fantastic.
And we want to be ahead of that. We know the medical diamond is coming, and so we know the next 5 years, Saginaw is going to change.
Yeah.
And people that are coming here to move here,
Right.
they're going to need a place to play, their
Yeah,
kids to
it's
play.
not just their
Place
age,
to
there's a
go,
lot going on
right.
down here, too.
And we want Hoyt Park and our parks in general to be the destination for a lot of those people.
Great, super, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chico, and I'll say that the Friends of Hoyt Park have such a great reputation, and they've built up these relationships, so a lot of these projects that you see, we can fund partially through the city that maybe we don't have enough to fund, but they have so many connections that their community foundation steps up, or a baseball foundation, or something like that, so we really have to thank them a lot for the development of that park. And they do have it adopted, so they're responsible for organizing the events and setting the times and having the vendors there and everything else. So I want to thank them again. And thank you for the presentation. Our second presentation this evening is from Consumers Energy. And, recently, Saginaw Future hosted a countywide infrastructure and readiness meeting that brought together local governments, utility providers, economic development partners, and other stakeholders from across Saginaw County. And the discussion focused on infrastructure capacity, utility readiness, and opportunities to better coordinate efforts to support future growth and development throughout the region. As a result of those discussions, I invited consumers to attend tonight's meeting to provide council with an overview of their current infrastructure investment, system capacity, and plans that may impact the city of Saginaw and the broader community. The discussion is particularly timely as the Planning Commission and ultimately City Council will be considering a proposed data center zoning ordinance, and understanding utility infrastructure capacity and future planning will help inform those discussions as the city evaluates opportunities for economic development and emerging industries. An update regarding the presenters, Madison Jarman was unable to attend, so Kyle McCree, Director of Community Affairs for Consumers Energy, is joining Michelle Eaton, Principal External Engagement Manager. So invite them up. And I'll note too that they also provided a grant for Hoyt Park in the past, so good community partners too.
Thank you. And with Diane here, I'll say also a grant to the East Side Soup Kitchen as well. Since we're getting the plug, I'll get both plugs in here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle McCree. I'm Director of Community Affairs for Consumers Energy. As Tim mentioned, Madison Jarman, who's her territory is newly expanded to include here in Saginaw County, unfortunately had a family issue with a medical issue that she couldn't be here this evening. So just want to provide first a high-level overview on Consumers Energy. I know that you're all familiar with it, but hopefully can give you a little overview that you might learn a fun fact that if you're bored at a dinner party and you want to ask someone a Consumers Energy fact as a quiz, I'll give you maybe something you can use. And then Michelle's going to talk to you more about two topics. We talked about this as Energy 101, but really I want to clarify this is Electric 101. We're happy to come back with another presentation about the gas system and all the work that's happening in the gas system here in Saginaw County and methane reduction and all those sorts of things. We'd be happy to provide that at a later date, but we're focused on two key topics in the electric area that are on, heard some comments about what you see on social media. Certainly we want to talk about data centers and reliability. So just overall about Consumers Energy, of Michigan's about 10 million people, we serve about 6.8 million of those 10 million individuals. You can think of our service territory as not including the city of Detroit, not including the UP, and most of the rest of everything else. We serve at least some customers in every county in the Lower Peninsula. On the map of the Lower Peninsula on the screen, the yellow areas were the electric provider, the blue areas were the gas provider, and then the green areas, like here in Saginaw County, we provide, or most of Saginaw County, we provide both electric and gas services. We've been around for 140 years. We're based in Jackson, Michigan, and we have just over 8,000 coworkers. And if you took all of our electric infrastructure and all of our gas infrastructure, you could wrap it around the world about 5 times. So next, Michelle is going to talk to you about data centers. We're going to start off with some data center myths. And it's interesting that some of the myths she's going to talk about might be true in other states, but in Michigan and in our service territory, they're myths. And then we're going to talk to you about some reliability upgrades and improvements we're making, particularly here in Saginaw County. And then we'll give you some of the nitty-gritty regulatory things that back up what we're going to talk about in the presentation. So next, I'm going to ask Michelle from our growth team to come up.
Thank you, Kyle. There we go. Can everyone hear? Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So let's do some myth busting. We're going to talk a little bit about data centers, and then we're going to talk about basic Energy 101 on the electric side. So not knowing the level of knowledge on different types of data centers, we are often asked to just at a high level talk about the different types of data centers. We are hearing a lot of things in the news, on social media, and often we find that that's typically a hyper data center, the very large ones. But let's take a look here, and I'm going to follow along on my paper copy because it's a little closer. But data centers have been around for a really long time. They've been in all of our communities, but they were very small. They were often called a server closet. If you had a bank in your community, they typically were a large company, they had servers in a room. That's a really small data center. Those are the ones that are on site, and they're still there. And then we have things called like a co-location. So that would be a building that has multiple companies' servers in one building. So I see many of you are just nodding your head, yes. Again, just high level. And then you got the hyperscalers. Those are the large ones. Those are the million square feet and hundreds of acres of land in order to need. Different functions. Depending on who you talk to, everyone sees things like only AI, or they make comments about AI. That's only one function, truly, of a data center. They do process big data, AI, high volume e-commerce. I don't know about you, but I have an Amazon account and I purchase things on a regular basis very easily, click of a button. Online gaming, maybe some younger folks, not so much myself, but online gaming is a huge one. And then we have, of course, cloud storage. All of us in the business world, it's a norm to have your files digitally stored in the cloud for easy access. So let's talk a little bit about what we hear in the news. And often, you know, we picked 3 topics here: supply, reliability, and rates. And some of these rumors that you can see here, they may be true in other states, but I'm here to tell you they're not true in Consumers Energy's territory, electric territory that we serve here in Michigan. So that's really important to understand. Like anyone, as an educated citizen, we need to do our research and understand what's true, what's fact, as we make decisions going forward. So, rumor number 1, data centers need more power than we can produce. Not true. Consumers Energy has adequate supply today, tomorrow, and in the future. And we know this because we have our energy supply report. It's planning that we do. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the next slide on that. Number 2, rumor, data centers will negatively affect reliability. Not true. Data centers of large loads require infrastructure upgrades, which they need to fund themselves. I'll go into a little bit more detail in the next slide. But those infrastructure upgrades are a backbone for reliability because it's newer poles, newer wires, newer switchgear, newer equipment, okay, for those large data centers. That supports, it's all combined together, that supports the backbone for the community electric infrastructure in the area. And then number 3, data center infrastructure costs will increase customer bills. Large load projects will pay their own way. They are required to pay for the infrastructure as well as capacity they trigger. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slides coming up, of the protections and tariffs that we have in place that justify that support that. So again, high level, rumors versus facts. Okay, let's go into supply. We're ready for business. You know, we have robust supply, a mixture of natural gas, renewable energy. We have our generation facilities. We have a variety of resources to support our supply. And through our integrated resource plan, which is a 20-year plan that we update about every 5 years. I think the last I heard we're going to put our plan out. It's a 20-year plan that takes existing needs, forecasted future demand needs, demands or requirements from our 23 energy law, and puts it all together to make sure that we have everything for a plan going forward. So we are not going to have data centers or any large load growth. Right now I'm saying data centers. It can be a restaurant. It can be a manufacturing facility. Right now everything's just about data centers. But anytime a company contacts us, Consumers Energy, there is a process of multi-level review before it can be put on the system. And that's part of that integrated resource plan at a high level. That's that forecasted demand. So just wanted to share that with you. And then, of course, reliability we talked about, but I'm going to go into it a little bit further in the next slide. Large, as I mentioned, customers invest and they pay for grid and infrastructure work. That's in our tariff. You can go look at it in our tariff book. It's part of it, and we're going to talk a little bit again later in the slide. But a tariff book is many, many pages, so we're just going to cut to the chase here and do a synopsis for you. But reliability, here in Saginaw, well, a couple things. I would say, and I'm going to look at my notes here. We have a plan by investing $1 billion to upgrade the grid through 2028. That's that entire grid, which you can see up there, which I'll talk a little bit more. Okay? And this is something that maybe you may have already seen, because for the last 2 years, we have upgraded 300 miles each year in Saginaw County. 300 miles each year, and that's only going to increase through this new plan. Okay? So hopefully you've seen a higher presence of consumers' energy within the city, and I want to thank your city staff and others to help coordinate and make that work possible. Because again, it takes partnership and coordination for us to all work together and move a project forward, and you're helping us move our reliability plan forward here in the city. Data centers will boost reliability. I don't know if everyone can see that, but often I hear data centers, again, I use data centers, any large load growth, manufacturer, we're going to see more outages. I want to put your attention to that slide there, but as you can see over there on the left where it says data centers, they are served off, the large load growths are served off transmission and high voltage system. They are not served off the same lines that we are served off as a resident or even a small business. Okay? So when we talk about the large data centers having to pay for their infrastructure, that is the type of infrastructure we're referring to. They want to be closest to the generation. Okay? So as they improve upon that, that green line there, that's the transmission level. Where we're at is low voltage, where you can see low voltage distribution, residents, small manufacturing. Every load request that we get, we have to do an analysis. What is the least cost to serve? And nothing goes on our system until it's modeled and it is proved to be safe to be added to our system. So I just want to share that with you because it's really important. Nothing is going to be above safety and reliability for us first. That is the most important for us. Rates. Kyle, you're up.
Before this role, I was on our state lobby team, and so Michelle leaves the regulatory part of the conversation for me to do. I want to clear one thing up because I saw a few nods. When we use the word tariff, we're not talking about like a tariff on foreign goods that we may hear about on the news. It's just a regulatory term that the Public Service Commission uses for a rate rule that we get enacted by the Public Service Commission. So as Michelle talked about, there are protections in our regulatory law. I'm going to talk about a few of them. One is a overarching principle in Michigan's energy law, which is called cost of service. You heard Michelle use that earlier in one of her remarks. What that means is, and this is how you think about it from a equitable way of how do you determine how much a large manufacturer pays for electricity, or how do you determine how much a resident pays for electricity? And there's different models of doing it. Other states do what's called cost shifting, and this is very popular in the South, where you will charge a manufacturer lower than what it costs to serve that manufacturer. You charge the residential customer more than what it serves them. The principle of that model is you can incent more manufacturing to come to your state if you're charging them less for electricity, and then your residents will theoretically benefit by the higher number of jobs, right? That's not Michigan. Michigan has cost of service, which means that manufacturer and that resident both pay what it costs to serve them. And obviously, we don't know what it costs to serve your individual home, and so it's looked at as a rate class. So the homes like yours, single-family home, using a certain amount of energy is paying a certain rate. A manufacturer, think of a manufacturer that is running one shift a day in the middle of the day versus a manufacturer running 3 shifts a day all day long, right? They're using energy differently, and therefore they're in different rate classes and getting charged different rates, but they're still getting charged what it costs to serve them. That's true, as Michelle was saying, with the data centers, and so that's a principle in our law, but there's other regulatory protections on the rate side there as well. Next, we have within data centers in particular, they benefit from what's called a sales and use tax. When you hear about a $5 billion data center being built somewhere, $1 billion of that is to build the data center and $4 billion of it is to buy the computer equipment. They don't pay sales and use tax on that $4 billion of equipment. What our state legislators did is they put into that particular relief saying that they do have to pay the full cost of the energy. So within the tax benefit that they get, that's attracted them to Michigan, and that law was passed a few years ago, and that's why you're all of a sudden hearing about data centers coming to Michigan, because they only go where they don't have to pay that tax on the computer equipment. That is written into that law. Separately, Consumers Energy went preemptively before the Public Service Commission about 15 months ago, and we got approval at the end of last year for the tariff that you see on the screen here. And this is for those large data users. Is it 100 megawatts? 100 megawatts. And so to give you an idea, your average large grocery store is going to be a megawatt of power. So 100 megawatts is a very large user. We only have a couple of those in our system to begin with. But there's a number of protections that we went preemptively into place. And what I'll note also is that the protections at the federal level that are being talked about by the administration in DC, actually a lot of them are things that we already have here in this law as well. And so the first one is they pay an upfront fee for the planning and engineering costs. If someone calls Michelle and her team and says, I want to bring a large user to any community in Michigan, she talked about engineering work, that's a lot of people's time. And so upfront, there's a $100,000 application fee. Now we're talking about projects that range in the 9 to 10 figures, right? If someone sneezes at a $100,000 fee, they're not serious, right? So they have to pay that upfront cost. Next, they have to pay and provide collateral for the infrastructure work that we're doing. We had some of these companies that said, well, why do we have to provide collateral? We're, pick your large company that's driving the stock market right now. And we said, well, this is Michigan. We've seen, frankly, the largest company in the world declare bankruptcy over the course of our time. And so we wanted to have that protection in place for our customers. Next, they have to pay for all of the energy costs and the energy use and infrastructure that they do. And this is why that collateral is there, even if they don't materialize. Once we are out building those high voltage lines, building transmission, building generation, they have to pay for that, right? Next, they have to sign a 15-year contract with default provisions for collateral, making sure that our customers are protected. That 15-year contract allows us to then absorb and make sure that customers are made whole in any of the investments that we're making. And finally, they have to pay for 80% of the capacity that they tell us that they're going to need. So, and we've seen projects in Michigan just with manufacturing changes, right? Announce something of one scale, and then they say, oh, actually, we need to scale it back and build half of what we said we were going to do. We have protections in place for that as well. So there's multiple layers of protections built in for customers. We think this is the right way to do it. We believe that growth is great, but it's got to be responsible. It's got to be in the right way that protects customers, protects our community. There's other things I will say to you, and certainly City Manager Morales knows this, there's other things besides energy that as the council and your planning commission you want to be thinking about. Those aren't our business, and so I can't speak about those other issues that are involved in it, but I trust that you'll bring in other experts to give you answers that are outside of the space of energy. But we wanted to provide that with you today. So in summary, we have the supply. We have it. Michelle talked about the diverse mix of resources. It's usually I use a football analogy to describe our, we've got natural gas, which is like the offensive line. You've got the wide receivers, which is like the renewable energy, and you've got battery storage, which is like the wide receivers. It's World Cup season, so I could go into, we have an attacking midfielder, which is maybe the, battery storage, and no one wants to talk about a central defender or a goalie. That's natural gas, but you need them, and if you don't have them, you notice it. So we have that diverse mix. We have reliability. It's very important. Michelle talked about the tree trimming we're doing. That's the 300 miles that we're doing around the county. That's that tree trimming. It's the most cost-effective and frankly effective way to increase reliability is to do that tree trimming. It's going to be better also because we're doing it now more frequently, which is actually healthier for the trees. If you think about it like a haircut, I went away to college and it took me a few months to find a barber, and so I grew an afro until February, and then that was a pretty dramatic haircut once I found a barber, whereas now, every 2 to 3 weeks, it's, better for your hair. Same thing for the trees. We want to get to a 5-year trim cycle. I've been with the company about 10 years. When I started, we were at a 14-year trim cycle. So we want to be doing it, you won't see as much debris getting cut as we're coming around for those more frequent tree trimming. And then finally, bills won't be going up because of data centers. And this is true for any large user, and that's because of all those protections that are in place. There are additional resources, and you have this, council members have this, I believe, in your packet, but there's a QR code that takes you to an external website that has a lot of just fact-based information from a coalition, which Saginaw Future, I believe, is a part of as well, just for communities to get those resources as well. And then Tim certainly has Madison's information as well. You know, I know that there are block club meetings and community organizations. If you'd like for us to come out to a community organization, even though she's not here, but because she's not here, I'm going to volunteer her time, and she works for me. So Madison will be able to come out and speak with the community group, and certainly through City Manager Morales, we'd be happy to work with you on those scheduling resources. That's what we had tonight. We're able to answer other questions if you have them, but appreciate your time and appreciate City Manager Morales and also Saginaw Future for putting together the original meeting that was the genesis of this presentation.
I just want to say thank you for your presentation. I always like to see things black and white, and it makes it clear about those data centers, because I know there's a lot of controversy over them, and it is a scary matter because of what's going to happen to our environment and things like that in the future. So I appreciate that, and I will be trying to share that QR code just to make it more knowledgeable. I just feel like education helps people understand more what's taking place. Like I said, it's easy to say something on social media, but when you have it black and white, that helps clear up a lot of things. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yes, yeah, there was some good information in the presentation. There was one thing that I didn't hear you touch on, and that's the peak usage rate. Because I know when you have a large load, a lot of people use it, consumers calculate how much your rate will be during peak time. So is there any protection for residents that if a big data center comes, that's going to also change the peak rate, and will that get passed on to the customer if you can't use it on peak times, because then they will pay?
Yeah, so Councilmember, I would say there's two different issues I would separate. For the data center side, they're still modeled on when they're using rates. They are aware of those peak times. And frankly, data centers and really any large user typically will shift their usage to the extent they can away from those peak times because they have the ability to do that. They oftentimes, you'll see some large data centers, not all, they'll use a combination of battery storage to frankly arbitrage the time because they have the ability to do that. They may have a 100 megawatt battery system attached to their data center that they can, use, store extra power overnight, store power early in the morning from solar, and then use it later in the day. In terms of residents in the peak rate in the summer, that is a small way to try to send a price signal, frankly, to help people reduce usage and ultimately reduce their bills. The way that it's set up is if you don't change your usage for the average resident, it's about a $2 a month price change. Now, people will see their bills go up, but it's not necessarily because of the peak usage. That's from 2 to 6, only from June to September, and only during the weekdays. And it's a marginal rate. I will tell you that I'm on a peak rate year-round because I drive a plug-in vehicle. That's voluntary. I'm on that rate voluntarily. But what I'm able to do is I'm going to get home, I don't know what time it is. It's like 8 o'clock or something. Yeah, so I live an hour from here. So when I get home, it'll be, 9:30 or something. When I plug my car in, it won't actually start charging until 11 o'clock because that's when the off-peak rate starts. And same thing with your dishwashers, if you can shift when you use your dishwasher or your washing machine. For data centers, that won't impact, it won't impact individual customers to begin with because they're paying their own way, right? There's no cost shifting going on. But also, if anything, as Michelle said, they help absorb some of those fixed costs off the system. So to the extent it impacts customers, it's actually beneficial to them, not negative.
Yeah, I understand your explanation, and I'm an EV user also.
Okay.
Actually, I have two, so I understand peak times, but the load on the system, you get an opportunity to calculate if you don't use it during the off-peak time and you use it during the peak time, this is how much you'll pay. If you have a bigger load on the system, you change that calculation that says, okay, if you use it on peak time, you're going to pay even more money. And that's what I'm saying, that I'm asking, will that be a case? Because now you put everything in the hands of the data center. What if they don't use it on off-peak time and they start using it on peak time? Are you going to increase the calculation? So if a person doesn't have the opportunity to plug on off-peak time, now the cost is passed on to them. So that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I see the hypothetical. The answer is no, in short. It won't cause that. If they're using more on the load, it would impact their costs. It wouldn't impact costs for others, and then we would be able to manage the supply. As Michelle said, there's a lot of engineering work that goes into play. And frankly, even on those days, if they were using more, I think what you're getting at is maybe a capacity question as well.
Yes.
We have to have the capacity. It's just under 20% above our peak hour in the course of a year. So we literally build our system to think of it as the hottest hour in August, when every air conditioner in Michigan is running, and then you add almost 20% above that, and that's the capacity that we have to be able to provide our customers in Michigan. And in reality, if we ever get that close, we have programs where our large users, including data centers, curtail their usage so that we avoid negative effects from a reliability standpoint onto residents. So there's a number of protections in place, both from the rate side and from the capacity side, to serve as buttresses against, I think, the scenario that you're
We
mentioning.
have an issue just 3 summers ago. We had the rolling blackouts through this region, and that was just with air conditioner use. And also when the EVs came out, everybody was saying that too many EVs plugging in at the same time. So if we've had rolling blackouts without data centers, I'm just looking at what happens when one does come and doesn't practice how you're putting it in place to do off-peak time. That's going to add to it. So I just want to make sure that moving forward, that won't further put pressure on our grid, because that was just 3 summers ago.
Yeah, I would not use the term rolling blackout. That would be what happened in 2003 when you had the whole Midwest. That's a rolling blackout. There are issues where there can be systems where, frankly, transformers and equipment can fry. Yeah, because it gets too hot. I wouldn't call that a rolling blackout. That's a you start to give me panic attacks if you use the word rolling blackout.
Okay.
That gets too
wrong term.
You
But
start
I
having
know
both my phones blowing up when that
3
happens.
summers ago, you lost a transformer. Not too
Yeah,
far from
and frankly, this is another way that data centers can be helpful, or really any large user. When any large user comes in, we have to then go through survey equipment, survey what's going on. And when we look at stuff, it's just like when my mom would look at my room as a kid. When you look at stuff, you find things, right? And when we find things, we have to fix them. And so that actually, in any event, is still ultimately beneficial because, as Michelle said on that map, if we are having to upgrade infrastructure or look at infrastructure, then we're replacing it. When they're coming in, there's new poles and new wires. We're building things differently and stronger. We're building wires, frankly, because we're seeing more wind speeds also in our system. A lot of the things that we're seeing are due to, our system was built originally, wind speeds were 35 to 40 miles an hour, mostly in Michigan. Now it's not uncommon at all. We've seen them here in this region, 60 to 75 mile an hour winds. We're already above the annual average for tornadoes in the state, right? So we are building our system stronger. We're building, you're seeing more, instead of a single wire line, you're seeing groups of wires together to withstand some of the ice storms we're seeing in northern Michigan, right? So we're hardening the grid. The biggest way is honestly the trees as well, because when the wind blows through, if you don't have trees right around the line or close to those high voltage lines where a tree trunk can fall on the high voltage line, that's where you prevent some of those heavy outages. Knock on all of the wood here, we have seen increased reliability in Saginaw County since Michelle talked about in the last 2 years, 600 miles of tree trimming out of the Saginaw Service Center, which is the county and a little bit outside the county. The beginning part of this decade, 21 to 23, we were at maybe 400 miles total, and we're doing 300 miles a year. So that's been another big increase where, knock on wood, we don't see what we saw a few years ago, but I wouldn't have called that it's more of infrastructure issues and aging infrastructure, and no different than anything else that we're fixing and replacing as we go through that reliability roadmap that Michelle talked about. Okay. I appreciate the questions. I know there's a question down here.
Thank you. I have 2 quick questions for Kyle, since you were the former lobbyist. So I'm sure you know Lansing in and out. The question first is for the tariff, the case number 21859. Did you mention that those protections only apply to data centers that consume over 100 megawatts?
This is not just data centers, but it's any
large user over 100? But 100 megawatts is the...
100 megawatts is the threshold. There's still other protections for the smaller ones, but you run into some of the less risk of the stranded assets with the smaller ones.
And my next question is there a legal size or a practical size, or rather level, in terms of either, you know, physical size or power consumption that a data center, like I want to know the line which a data center would consider not utilizing the sales tax credit. That was passed at the state level.
Anything other than an individual company's data center wouldn't use it. So there's two reasons they started coming to Michigan. One was we passed the sales and use tax. The other is our climate. Michigan is relatively temperate climate. It doesn't feel like that right now, but compared to other states, it doesn't get as cold or as warm, and that means that it takes less to keep those servers cool. The servers can be naturally cooled more. I had someone tell me once, anywhere you can grow wine, it's a great place for a server. And so you think about West Michigan and Southwest Michigan, the cool weather coming off of the lake, right? It keeps that area a little more cooler. I don't think you're going to see one on the Leelanau Peninsula. I think that's not going to happen for other reasons, but the climate point was true, and that's something that even our friends at Saginaw Future know. For just in general for Michigan, our temperate climate helps us attract manufacturers. Where the line is, I would say that they would use, people generally aren't going to turn down a sales and use tax. They generally were not looking at Michigan prior to that being passed, and I think it was 24 that was passed. Yep.
I used a data center to look this up, so just a second. You wanted to know the line. Just looking at the Michigan sales tax, you know, there's certain requirements that need to take place in order for it to be eligible. At least $250 million into a facility. Yeah. They have to create and maintain at least 30 qualified new jobs. They have to pay at least 150% of local prosperity region's median wage. And then also sustainability. There's several other ones, so I am happy. On that QR code at the end of our presentation, the sales tax fact sheet is part of those resources to take a look at if that helps answer your question.
Yeah, so to your point, yeah, thank you, Michelle. The $250 million, that's that co-location size, not the hyperscale, but that's not an individual company's server closet, yeah.
So you were mentioning the trees, which is really important, and I'm also an EV user, so I understand your grids and charge on off-peak. There's a new company, I think, is it CHOP that you're still using? It's a white and red truck?
It might have changed. Our tree, local tree vendor, they're different ones for different communities,
Yep.
but yeah.
And the reason why I bring this up is, as the owner of a historic home in the city, I get a lot of people that drive by, and so when they came through the last time, they did a really good job. I mean, they just didn't come in and, you know, make a V in the tree or take half the tree off. They were really, and he was explaining what he was doing, because I was talking to him at the time. And so if you're still using that company, great. I mean, they know what they're doing, and they were able to kind of carve out the section that you talked about. And then I also myself try to take care of stuff too, so take
Appreciate
stuff
that.
on the bottom. Now they're getting tall enough that they're getting over the wires, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'll pass along that kudos. I'll appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Councilman Bell?
Talking about water, how do data centers lose water? I see Mr. Young was talking on the electrical side. He's an electrician in the plant. And I was a pipe fitter, and I know that we had tower water that ran through the big electrical boxes. Do the data centers going to use any type of water or tower water to run, to keep the switches cool?
So I'm going to give you a very high-level answer, and then I'm going to tap dance my way away from that one. I work at an electric and gas company, and so I can talk to you about electric and gas issues. I can tell you that there is a wide spectrum of what the amount of water that a data center can use. Some of it's based on the size. Some of it is based on how a data center is structured and developed. I think the city and the city water department and others in the community can give you more details on that. It's just not something I'm an expert in. Someone said that they can use only as much as a golf course. And I said, hey, now, don't get people criticizing golf courses and water usage. They say at the car wash. I said, okay, that's a little bit better. But some can be very large users. And it just is depending on how you have it structured and what you put in place, no different than the size that something takes up, right? It just depends on the size of it and how it's structured and how it's developed. And I would if I could suggest that maybe that's an opportunity to have a different speaker come in to, because that is a very, when I talked about there's things that I can't get into, that's one of the main issues, and it is very important, but it's just not something that I'm an expert in or really qualified to give you kind of insights on this, because it's not what we do.
So you just come to defend the data centers on the amount of electricity they're gonna use and what it may cost us and not cost us?
Well, I would say not even defend. Michigan, as a regulated utility, we're required to serve a user that comes into the state. But we also have a duty and protection to make sure that we're doing it in a way that's safe, reliable, clean, equitable, and affordable for all Michiganders. And so whether that's, there have been companies coming in that maybe wouldn't have been our idea. Michelle had a little caveat that, nothing in this refers to crypto mining, because that was a whole other thing. Were we crazy about that? No. Was it a lot of work for things that maybe didn't come to fruition? Yes. But did we have a responsibility to sit down with people who said they wanted to bring something to Michigan? Absolutely. Okay. But I think hopefully Mr. Morales and others can help work to bring you or your planning commission more resources, because it is something that you do need to go into with eyes wide open. And we really want to help just provide facts to where we can, but then also tell you where the line stops, where we can no longer provide you facts as well. So.
We do have, and if you'd like, I can ask Mike to come up. The same meeting that consumers presented, Mike, I think, found out about a half hour before that he was going to present. So he has a very short 3-minute presentation. He can give you an overview of the water system and the capacity. So we'll have that, and also our draft ordinance would require a data center to provide a water usage and water cooling plan when they're coming in, and that will be presented at the Planning Commission tomorrow. If council members are interested, they can attend that meeting.
Thank you.
Councilman Ostrich.
You were kind of talking about the cooling. I used to work for Dow Corning, which is now Dow Chemical, on US 10. That big pond that's out there actually cools the building, so they're using it, which is what I'm watching too as we get into this data center conversation. So more from the manager side.
I just have a quick question, because I know I get calls regarding the trees. So are you guys the ones that are putting the blue dots all over the trees, or no? Is that?
Us or our tree contractors, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
That's
because they
a way
thought
of
it was a
marking
city,
them
and I said, I checked with the city, they said no, so I just
Yeah.
want to make sure, because I know some of the citizens were wondering where those, and I came out in my backyard, I'm like, what the heck happened to my tree,
One thing I would say is that the tree planters do come around with door hangers. Sometimes they blow away, but they do try to come through. We know when we're coming through, usually it's during daytime hours, since people aren't always home, right? But if people do get a door hanger, as you mentioned, Mr. Otachi, call, chat with them. If you see crews working, calmly make eye contact with people first. Don't just walk up on somebody working, but make eye contact with them, right? Get their attention. Calmly ask what they're doing. We have restrictions on what we can trim relative to how far it is from the line. And then if someone wants to remove a tree that's planned for trimming, they need to work with us and show that they have invoice or something from a company that's going to remove the tree. And then we will trim around something where it's safe around the lines for another company to come in and do that work as well. But we appreciate that. But yeah, oftentimes those are dots, but we want people to communicate and ask questions, but just do it in a safe manner.
Well, thanks for all the great information this evening. And have
Thank
a
you
safe
very
trip
much.
home.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle and Michelle. And if you'd like, Mike can come up and do his little brief overview of the water system and how that applies.
So good evening, council. A lot of the water systems we're into the same models as consumers is, so I'm not going to review a lot of that. When they talk about costs, if you want to put in a new anything, that's all on you. We've got water. If we need to get it to you and you need new pumps, you need a bigger pipe, that's on you. So we roll all those costs. We're in cost recovery. What I did want to talk about super quick is our capacities. So your drinking water plant just across Lake Linton, that's rated at 52 million gallons a day. We're gonna go ahead and put 10% of that in our back pocket, because otherwise the state will make us expand it. So you can say that that's a 46.8 million gallon a day plant. We only max out at 24 million gallons in the summertime. We're contracted for 35.1 million gallons through our customer systems and an allotment for Saginaw. So it basically what it comes down to is you have 11.7 million gallons of water to dole out. That said, there's another 10.5 million gallons that are under contract, but nobody's using. So at some point in time, we can talk and bargain and all that sort of thing. If it came in and somebody said, hey, I want a lot, that's something we can work with. But those are costs that we would roll back to the different communities, or even, you know, in town you want to put it up. And it goes along. The one that consumers didn't show, that they did show at our meeting, was their lines, where those big electrical lines are. That's where the data centers are going to want to be. If you're a big water user, that's also where you're going to want to be, is next to one of those big water lines. That's something we have a lot of because of the industry that was in town. We have very large sewers. We have very large water lines, actually too large. When we talk about that here in the next year or so. But it's there. So if you're in where we have those lines, it's cheaper than, say, me having to run a line out to the middle of nowhere. On the sewer side, it's a lot more complicated because those treatment plants are twofold. One is just straight hydraulics, and then there's how much you can treat. So we have a treatment capacity of 32 million gallons, and then a hydraulic capacity of 72 million gallons, which means more than 72 comes into the plant, it spills. So we don't do that. We average 25 million gallons a day, which once you cook that down, it's 6.7 million gallons of hydraulic capacity. And there is quite a bit of treatment capacity as well. We're working off some old studies, and I am waiting on the report coming back on our current headwork study so we can go ahead and work with Saginaw Future and say, I have this much BOD or nitrogen that we can remove from the water. But there is capacity there, and that is at your discretion on how we dole that out.
What do you mean when you say hydraulic capacity? I mean, that's something that's pumped in?
Right, when you look at the wastewater plants, so it's the sheer volume that we can take. So that's 72 million gallons before we spill. We can only treat 32 million gallons of water. You know, with our biology and then the chemicals we use to treat the water, we're set up for 32, so that's how I get to about 6.7 as far as an available number goes. The one other thing that they talk about in water reuse is water reuse. It's one of the things I pick up when I go to conferences, and I've been intrigued on that. We're discharging 25 million gallons of wastewater every day. It is not a very complex process to tidy that up a little bit more and use that as cooling water. They do a ton of that down in Ohio right now. I got yakking at a guy at lunch at a conference, and that's what he does. But those are options. There's different things you can do, but again, you're going to want to be close to the wastewater plant. It gets into, you know, how much of a pipe you need to build. But there are options that way as well, just to get it right out of drinking water.
When you say discharge wastewater, you mean you put that back in the river or what?
Yeah, we're treating it right now.
Okay.
So every day we treat 25 million gallons of wastewater. We treat it, we get it to the standard or above the standard that the state sets for us, and that's discharged into the river.
Okay.
Well, you could take that, clean it another step or two, and then sell that to somebody to use as cooling water.
Okay.
Councilman Young.
Yes, so the partially treated rainwater on the retention basins?
Yes.
Is that usable at a
No, that would, well, you could probably, but that would be economically just not viable, because you'd have to be putting several centers out, or treatment centers out. It would be cheaper and easier to do it at the treatment plant, but that's always coming in, because those RTBs, our remote treatment basins, do not flare off until we're at 2 inches of rain.
Yeah, well, I was asking that because there's a few times a year where we have the events where you have to discharge, and if we're close to capacity and we're starting to take additional capacity from
the capacity is inside the sewers, so there's a bit at the treatment plant, but it's actually getting it to the treatment plant with all that storm water So things you'll see as we move forward is to start trying to limit how much of that stormwater comes in. And the other thing, what's actually on the agenda is we're working on with Xylem to do some modeling inside the sewers, because I talked about having these large sewers for the large industries that used to be in town. You can use those for storage. Now, there'd be some capital involved with that and some gates and different things you can do, but my big hope is we've got a lot of money we need to spend to tidy up those RTBs. If I could make 2 of those go away, we can put in several gates for that and still save money.
Could that be possibly a part of a requirement, just like what consumers said, if they come in and they need the...
They really wouldn't affect the stormwater, because now you're under all the new rules. So if somebody comes in, you need to square up with our industrial pretreatment people. So I mean, what you're sending me, right? And then the other thing you have to square up with is stormwater. So you can't have a whatever acre parking lot of impervious surface. You have to have provisions in there to take care of that. And it's those stormwater flashes are what does us harm, and it's also what triggers off those RTVs going on.
Well, that's why I was concerned with the capacity coming
Right,
in.
yes, and that wouldn't really make that any bad or worse.
That's less that you can treat the retention basins, and those are increased events that we discharge into the river were partially treated if that's not done correct. So that would be important.
Right, but it gets into the rain as the driver on that, so it gets into the impervious surfaces. So on that part, I'm not afraid of that.
Okay.
At all. Is that?
Questions?
All right, that's all I have.
Any other questions?
For Tim, but for the presentation.
Thank you, Mike. I will say that the staff at Water and Wastewater Treatment are always looking at innovation and keeping up on these, so I have to give them a big thumbs up for working on that. And also, I did leave out one of the team members that works on Hot Times at the city, so I also recognize Calvin Murphy from Tech Services. He works with Vicki and Rachel, so he's the one that does all the tech stuff to make that possible. So I want to recognize him as well. And Madam Mayor Pro Tem, those are all the items that we have this evening.
Are there any questions for the city manager? Councilwoman Haley.
Thank you. First, could we make sure that the draft ordinance, or rather in its current draft form, is published, the public nuisance ordinance? Because I think the purpose of it being brought up was so that we could solicit, feedback.
Yes, we can post that. I think when we get to the miscellaneous items at the end, any direction you want to give us with regard to that ordinance, please make a motion if you want to post it, if you want to introduce, or whatever next steps you'd like with that. If you have any, it's a fairly short and straightforward, so if you have any questions that I can answer, or the city attorney right now, please, we welcome those. And if you don't have any, just advise us on if you want it posted or post it online, or what you want to do with introduction, or how to move forward.
And another question I had for broadband and fiber companies coming in. I've received several complaints from citizens. I'm sure you guys get a lot of calls about it. I'm fairly certain they're preempted. Like, do we even know when or where they're coming and putting stuff in the ground? And basically, I want to ask just for the public, if residents have concerned about broadband companies coming in and tearing up their grass and not replacing it, or if they have concerns about like worker safety that they witness, where should they direct those complaints?
Yeah, I'm concerned about them tearing up their yard, because we got one today. And I just got the grass to grow back from consumers' work. But they do get permitting through public services, so typically we know when they're going to come around. But if there are concerns, a lot of times the residents don't know which company it is, whether consumers takes the hit for everyone that's digging, I think, right now especially, but they usually say consumers dug up my yard. We found, I know you all got a complaint recently, it was a fiber company, but if they send the complaint to the city, Phil's staff can look at where they're working in the permit, and they can direct those to the right company.
Any other questions down here? Anybody?
Thank you. Oh,
Heidi.
City Manager Morales, thank you for spending some time with me this last week, just answering some of my questions on Ojibwe. We had the presentation for Friends of Hoyt Park. What's a possibility of having Friends of Ojibwe, or having some of the, we have organizations like HELP with the funds that they've received, using something like they're using with ISD, hiring kids in the park. What's the possibility of something like that?
Yeah, I think there could be two different possibilities there. So if we, maybe an avenue to talk to Chico about some of those youth programs, in having them work in the park. And we do want to try to partner with Saginaw County a little bit more. The county administrator, Mary Catherine Hanna, and I have talked about some possibilities, and I've also talked to the county parks director about working with them on staffing, especially because we have such a limited park staffing. I think we hire 4 or 5 people every year, so it's very difficult to hire them. So how can we staff things up to make sure we can offer those services? If that's probably an option, and we can talk to the Friends of Hoyt Park a little bit, how they do it, and talk to the county. The actual way that Hoyt Park operates, it is, Friends of Hoyt Park have a park adoption agreement with the city. So they're required to have a pretty substantial insurance and several other factors. And we have talked to other interested parties about a similar arrangement in Ojibwe Island. That insurance point is really the sticking point. I'm not sure what Friends of Hoyt Park does, but it can be a significant cost, particularly for such a large area. Most of our adopted parks are much smaller parks, so it's not as big of an issue. Hoyt Park is really the biggest one. But
I just think, I don't hear of any issues, in Hoyt, of large gatherings or nuisance gatherings, and it's right there. So just comparing that with the park Ojibwe, just to have some kind of collaboration with different organizations and just being able to open the park, like some of the speakers have, voiced over and over and over, that is something that we can, take steps towards.
Kind of on the shifting topic, and you and I talked a little bit about it, but one of the points about the nuisance ordinance that I think is important is it isn't necessarily directed at a specific entity like liquor stores. It can be on any property, because we've seen gatherings multiple locations, not just at places where there's alcohol sold, city property, city parking lots, parks. Yes, it's not something that we've talked a lot about, but there have been those same type of gatherings at parks. Hoyt is very active, and that might be a reason why you haven't seen that there. And that's one of the things I think when you look at parks management, the activity in the park can diminish those type of gatherings. As we see across here, we have so many people playing pickleball in the splash pad that we don't have many issues here. So that's one thing to look at, is how can we have that additional engagement at Ojibwe Island so that we have more people, more families there, and that can reduce that. I know they probably don't want to take on more things, but maybe something to talk with the Friends of Hoyt Park board, if they have ideas about, hey, what kind of events can we have? We do have our play dates in the park that we've been doing. I think it'd be a great opportunity to have some of those on weekends at Ojibwe Island, expand that more next year. If we can, put some more funding in that. They're not that costly, and they're very popular with kids. And we did, Cassie and I and her staff have met with some nonprofits that are interested in funding those as well. I don't think we got additional funding this year, but that's an option too.
Thank you.
Councilman Hammond.
Thank you. What is the current situation with the splash park bathroom?
The splash, I might kick this off to Phil, because we can only open it if we have enough staffing. The last that I knew, we had one staff member hired, and I know, I think one of Phil's staff told me they were adding some more on, but I think we probably need to have at least 2 or 3 attendants there to be open, to have those restrooms open. We usually place porta johns there if it's not available, but we've had them open in the past when we didn't have staffing, and it was
Yeah, it gets pretty bad. People do certain things in there, they destroy the bathrooms, so we're having a hard time. I know we're paying 14, 15 bucks an hour to get anybody that wants to work those odd hours through the summer. You know, you gotta work every weekend. It's open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So yeah, they're not, you know, right now we dumped waste, but back in the day when we treated it like a pool, we actually had to put chlorine and everything else, and you had to have somebody there testing the water every hour, where it became almost impossible. So we changed how the system operates to make it less impactful on the employees you do have hired, but we struggle. We get one, you know, we'll get 4 applicants, one shows up to the interview, we hire them, they don't show up the next day for work. I mean, it's just, you know, so Tim is right. We got a porta john out there. It ain't the best, but until we can get people that are willing to want to work. But we have 5 Celebration Park attendants. We try to fill those, but we're best to get 1 or 2.
Thank you. And then my subsequent question was, at the tour of Ojibwe Island that several council members were there at the same time, I had a conversation about minimum spacing between the boulders to allow for at least wheelchair access between all the boulders. And I know, Phil, you made a suggestion about the paving over some of the areas of river rock, because that band of river rock presents a significant challenge to anyone who does not have full use of both of their feet. So anything from a walker to wheels would have an issue. Did we follow through with those spacing promises?
No, so that project was designed to have boulders. Yeah, so when we added those boulders to keep the people from driving on the grass, we specified boulders anywhere from 3 foot to 5 foot in diameter, 60 inches on center. Right, so they were placed according to the specification we gave the contractor. Now, if he was to go back, so now you can imagine if you have a 5 foot boulder and a 5 foot boulder and you put them 60 inches on center, that gap's going to be a lot smaller than a 3 foot boulder and a 3 foot boulder, because the boulders themselves are less diameter. But to change that now, they would have to go back to the first boulder, place it, measure 40 inches, place the next one, measure 40 inches, place the next one, measure 40 inches, place the next one, because the variance in the diameter of the boulders. So it would be very costly, and we did get a quote from the contractor that did the work, and he said it'd be about $17,000 if he had to go back, and just because of the labor to move all those boulders.
I will say that I did go out there on Friday with a measuring tape. There are several of those boulders that are 30 to 50 inches.
Yeah.
Space in between, so there are areas where you can pretty much get anything through.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I went out there with Phil today, and I actually have a walker due to my stroke I had a couple years ago. So I actually saw the spacing between the boulders, and I know that I physically cannot walk that entire distance myself. And I have accommodations myself, and I saw the spacing in between. And I know if I can fit through there with a walker, and I'm a pretty big girl, then I know other people can. I know, maybe, like Phil said, we can probably, maybe make some cement so that people don't have to walk on the rocks. Other than that, the spacing is adequate. When he took me around today, I saw it. I think it was a wonderful arrangement in how the park was laid out. The vision was awesome to me, from how I grew up, the original park, how it was formed. It looks really nice. I was very impressed with the layout, whoever thought of the layout and thought about everyone. I feel comfortable walking it when I do choose to get out, when I do go there. I appreciate the parking, that it's more parking there for people like me. I don't have to park on the outskirts or have to park outside of the park and walk to the park, so that was a hindrance for me. So I feel like I'm being included as far as someone that's, you know, quote unquote handicapped. I felt like it would suffice. But I did agree with you on possibly making those connections and adjustments with maybe on each side, maybe even the four corners, or making a little pavement, you know, just to appease people, but you can't make everyone happy. That's what I just found, you know.
Yeah, what Mrs. Seals is referring to is if you drive it, the whole inner circle's got a 6-foot gravel bed to place the boulders on. That was for maintenance purposes, so that we don't have to try to weed whack or mow around 900 boulders. Now, if we just spray them a little bit, it'd be easier to maintain the stone. But if there are 3 or 4 areas, you know, I almost don't want to put something in there and then I almost want to get it open and see how people are using it, and then that can dictate maybe where we put a couple of those. Like if people are saying, hey, because of this is where I can park, and I'm in a stroller or a wheelchair, you know, it's tough to roll through the 1 to 3 inch river rock that's that base there. We could probably scratch some of that out with my own staff, pull the river rock away, move a boulder, make a 48 inch or a 50 inch space there and pave it. I mean, you are going from a paved surface onto a grass surface, which isn't ADA compliant anyway, but if that's your wish, I'd almost want to see how people are using it before I put those and assume where they should go versus after we've had it open for a season, you know, hey, this is where you'll start to see the grass wore out, or you can kind of tell how people are using the park, and then that would probably be a better way to determine where to put some of them. Then to put all that work into it, put them there, and they're not being used for that purpose anyway. That would be my suggestion.
I mean, as a handicapped person, I know I start physical therapy tomorrow, and I know that I cannot walk on uneven ground. So I would literally fall if I walk on uneven ground. So I know I wouldn't be caught dead in that grass. So I'm going to stay on the pavement. I'm going to stay on more flat surfaces. So if I do sit or chill or whatever, I will try to find the most flattest surfaces I can. So I will be more in the parking lots and more on the pavement and more on the Iron Beltway Trail. So that will be more of my suffice. So, but that's just me, because that's what I'm comfortable with, and I don't want to fall because I'm a fall risk. But again, like I said, that's me, so.
Councilwoman Seals was there today, but since we were there last Wednesday, some of the other benches and picnic tables have been installed, and they're permanently placed, and they are on the riverside, right, Phil? So you wouldn't have to enter the grass area to utilize those picnic tables and benches, right?
Yep. They're on the west side of the majority of them are on the newer ones are on the west side of the island.
Most of our other picnic tables, we have a few, but I think I was talking to Phil's staff, a lot of the picnic tables that are out there, we place for special events purposely. So when an organization or if you have a family reunion or something, when you get in contact with Phil's staff, you will say, I need 15 picnic tables or whatever it happens to be, and then the staff delivers those. So, and when you have a special event like that, you would have additional access, I think, to the grassy area. There's 2 gates behind the stage that are wide gates that it's paved, and then there are not boulders on that side too, so you could get in through that way.
Yeah, and we anybody who's going to be using it as a special event, we always work with them for whatever their needs are. If they need food trucks to get in there, if it's going to be music or whatever, if they need, this is where they want to bring the people in. Through that application process, we will work with them in any way to accommodate all their needs. So we always do that.
Thank you. I know that there was an email sent out, BCC soliciting some council opinions on Sunday access, changing it to full drive around. Is that the current plan?
Yes, yes.
So we will have one-way access currently on Sundays, regular hours dawn to dusk, and then a closing of the gates to have the hybrid model the rest Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, I think the traffic would still be two-way on Sundays. Is that correct?
Yeah, because if you do the hybrid, it's 2-way. And I think if you open it one day, people are gonna be used to going the two-way to the west side of the island, so I would keep it two-way around the whole island.
And I did, we'll
'Cause they
keep
would-
Philip here just for, because he's an engineer. But I did send this to council, and I think it's important for the public to hear too. There are two 9-foot lanes, and Councilman Hammond did mention that earlier. There are two 9-foot lanes. Those are regular size lanes, even for two-way traffic.
Yeah.
And from Phil's engineering staff, I was advised that the lanes on M13 downtown are 9.5 feet. Is that right, Phil?
Yeah, they're narrow, yeah. And then
So you've got traffic going through at 45, 50 miles an hour at a lane that's just a half a foot.
Well, and part of the reason
shorter.
for doing that in the parkway is everybody complains about speeding, so one way to try to avoid speed humps or speed tables is if you narrow the lane, it tends, especially in two-way traffic, it tends to force people to slow down so that you can almost do, it's a traffic calming measure too, but 9-foot lanes on a park road, which that is, I think it's 10 or 15 mile an hour speed limit in there are more than adequate. I mean, we designed some of our major streets with only 10-foot lanes, so.
And did Councilman Young drive on it and you were okay?
Yeah, when I first came in, you know, and I have a pretty wide, full-size pickup truck, one of the construction dump trucks passed me, and we passed each other just fine. But I did notice that's on the, I want to say the west side. Yep. But I noticed when I came around, I thought maybe it was an optical illusion, but it felt a little tighter on the other side, and there was a 2-foot difference on the east side, and that's due to us losing part of the park to the river over the years. So when you made the walk lane addition with the road, it's a little shorter on the east side of the island versus the west side, but it just feels a little tighter, but it's still room coming around that side, yeah. So you just had stated that two-way traffic all the time?
So my fear is if we do the hybrid model, which everybody understands, there's the gates are there, right? It's just as easy, you know, if you open the whole island up, it's just, we gotta open 2 gates. I mean, we got a gate on the east side, with the 2 new parking lots we built on the south side of the park, there's one west of the main entrance and one east, and the gates allow. So if you have the island just closed, you know, like it is now, you still have the access to those parking lots. But if you do the hybrid model, you keep the gate to the east closed, people can still get in the parking lot, and then there's another gate to the north that's just on the other side of the pavilion to the north, so you'll have two-way traffic in and out on the west side, and then just, you know, pedestrian and bike users on the east where they don't have to interact with vehicles. But my fear is if you're doing that for 5 days a week and you got two-way traffic with those gates closed, now you just open it up to the entire island for one day. Somebody's been in and out of that thing 2 ways for 6 days, and all of a sudden you're gonna expect them to just go one way because you got it open on that Sunday. The driver behavior is gonna become, I want to do the two-way, so my thing would be is if, even when we open it on Sunday, just continue, just let it still be the two-way. It'll just be the whole island now versus just half.
Yeah, I agree. I
That's,
understand.
and the road widths are definitely adequate for that two-way.
It
You get what I
feels-
mean? Otherwise, if you put it one way, it's, I think the people are gonna be so used to now going two-way, they're gonna wanna go both ways in and out of the island.
Yeah, and Phil's staff will work on signage for the park. That was one of the issues identified in the survey too, was listing all the rules, having those out in public so everyone can see them, and that's one of the park management philosophies too, is to have everything posted. So Phil's staff does all the signage citywide, so they'll work on that too. And you know, Phil did mention speeding is one of our biggest complaints in there too.
Does that make sense? I mean, my opinion on
Yeah,
it anyway.
I can see that.
Because now you're gonna have signs over here saying two-way, right?
Yeah.
And then Sunday, what am I gonna do? Have to go change those two ways out to one way? Because now it's gonna be just one way on. Right. I think just two-way, whether you have the whole island open or you don't. I think that.
I agree. You got some communities where when you're going downtown, everything is one way, and then different times of the day, it switches to two-way when you get to bigger cities, and they get kind of, you know, you get confusing.
Confusing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. If it was just, you know, access all the time, that solves that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
All right, The agenda has been available at City Hall and on the city website. I need a motion to approve leaving room for exceptions.
So moved.
Second.
Any exceptions?
I have exceptions for number 6, number 7, number 29, and number 32. I have a point of order. Do we have to vote to adopt the consent agenda?
That's what she's getting ready to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One moment, please. One step at a time. I got this.
I'm scared you were skipping ahead.
I got this. Okay. I need a motion to approve the remaining items. Clerk, proceed with exception.
You have your motion and your second. You're just going to take your vote on the remaining items.
Okay.
So all in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
And opposed, say nay.
Nay. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm repeating her. I'm sorry. Take the straight.
You trying to make my job difficult. Okay, so now,
The motion is approved, and now we'll move on with the exceptions.
for 6, 7, 29,
Yep, we'll start
32?
with number 6. It's
Okay.
to approve the purchase with Advanced Business Communications for $31,229 for the purchase and installation of emergency call boxes within the Ojibwe Island Park boundaries. That was Councilmember Hammond.
Thank you. Are these emergency call boxes the ones that have the light at the top?
Yes. Yeah. They're actually called emergency towers, so a little bit different than a call box. They stand about 6 feet tall, 72 inches tall. We picked out the blue color, and then they're 15 inches wide, the interface that you're looking at, and then 6 inches wide.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. And they also have 2 cameras, okay? A camera at a higher level and then an ADA compliant, which would be at 42 inches. So we have multiple cameras also in those. Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's fine. And what else do we have? Any suggestions or case studies that looked at the long-term maintenance costs?
For the boxes alone, we have a 5-year maintenance on this. Now, that doesn't, if somebody comes up and hits it or hits it with a car or something, you know, that's a vandalism that would be brought back to us. But for the cameras and the boxes, it's a 5-year agreement or 5-year maintenance on it.
What do you mean, like a warranty essentially?
Yes.
Okay. And I noticed that in the memo, it mentioned that the city said that this was one of the recommendations identified in the survey. How many survey respondents actually asked for an emergency?
I can't give you that number right off the top of my head. I'm sorry. You know, with the emergency box, I think the idea is to have them out there when you have those boxes, the towers, that people see them and then they can relate to them, that if something does happen, they're there. Now, I think we all wish and hope that nobody ever uses those. I really, you know, I hope nobody ever has to use one of those. But if they do, I think having those there is an extra comfort.
I just think this is one of the dumbest ideas I have seen. I've had some of these emergency towers at campuses that I was on. They're really bright. You get light pollution. I don't know who asked for this. And I mean, $30,000. We can't open up our bathrooms at the splash park because we're only paying our maintenance people $14, $15 an hour. I would much rather use these funds to bolster the pay for the maintenance workers for the positions we can't fill. We took the tour. It was an overflowing trash can. And it was said to us that we weren't adding additional trash cans to the park because we don't have the people to empty the trash cans. And we just built these beautiful bathrooms, but we don't have people to open the bathrooms, so people can't use them because we don't have the maintenance jobs to do. So with that, I'm going to motion to postpone.
I'd like to make a comment. Oh, sorry.
She made a motion to postpone. Is there a second?
Oh, is there a second?
No.
One more time, is there a second?
No.
There's no motion.
There's no motion.
Just
We're still under discussion.
Yes, just a comment about these. So the purchase of these is through the ARPA funds that's allocated to Ojibwe Island. those funds expire at the end of the year, and you would not use those for ongoing expenses anyway to be able to fund individuals to staff restrooms. So it's not coming from the same funding source. That's one thing. This is something that I think in the survey, multiple people, and probably pretty much every respondent, identified security and safety issues and identified visibility, and I think this goes to that. As Jeff mentioned, you can't guarantee someone's not going to vandalize and it's going to work, but it does provide that additional level if someone is on the island and they may not have their cell phone, or they may not have it charged, or whatever that happens to be. I could tell you previously, the last time, 2021, when the police officers went to the island, there was a comment that there weren't any issues, that the city police said that. I guarantee you that the city police, we have one back there, would not say there were not any issues on the island. And a lot of times when police officers went to clear that island at dusk with 100 people on there or more, there were other people that were there that said, I didn't want to leave because I was fearful that something might happen. And this type of thing, if they were there fishing, they didn't have their phones, they couldn't call 911, this would give them that option. I'll also tell you that it is something that we are looking at for the new riverfront park too, and it's not something that we have in our plan that Phil and his team are working on, but it's something that SVSU has asked if they could put into that park, because they have a system, and it's true at most universities. So it's likely something that's going to be there too as we continue to work with SVSU and potentially CMU on some other areas.
Thank you. So we need
a motion to approve.
Motion to approve number 6.
Anybody can make that motion.
So moved. Second. Okay. Been moved in second, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, nay.
Nay.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember
Roll call
Yo.
vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Seals.
Aye.
Councilmember Balls.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Aye.
Councilmember Ostash.
Aye.
Councilmember Braddock.
Aye.
Councilmember Wiggins.
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond.
Nay.
And Mayor Moore is absent. You have 7 yes and 1 no. That motion is approved. So now we'll move on to number 7. It's to approve the amendments to the fiscal year 2026 approved budget to recognize changes that have occurred during the June period. That was Councilmember Hammond.
Hi, Aletta. So I was wondering, for this specific project, was this something that was approved by council previously?
Which project are you talking about?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I had it written down. I'm talking about the specific portion for the Hoyt Park. I believe is it either the upper or lower that's on the budget amendment?
Upper. This is the upper, and I believe it's already on the agenda for tonight, correct? It's on the agenda for tonight.
Which item is it?
Actually, is it?
Yeah, it's the contract for Lee Street, the boat launch, and the upper Hoyt. I think it's like 28. Lee Street boat launch.
Yes, it is number 28.
28.
28.
So it's combined with 2 other items on item number 28. Okay.
Yeah, so the budget adjustment is just to recognize the allocation from the general fund for the Hoyt Park portion.
Okay.
This is shared with other funds as well.
Okay, I guess I was just confused because usually we see those budget allocations come after a vote or significantly after a vote to recognize the appropriation.
And it can come with the vote of it as well, so.
Okay, thank you. I'll motion to approve.
Motion.
Was there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Roll call vote or no?
No, just
No,
all in
okay,
favor.
all
You
in-
have to take your
okay.
vote, yeah. You have to take your vote. So, all in favor?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mm.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to number 29. There. To approve the purchase with Fisher Contracting Company for $144,468 for the Ojibwe Island North Trail Extension, Public Services Department Engineering Division. That was Councilmember Hammond.
Thank you for providing the map. So how much of the ARPA allocation is left? And was this specifically pulled from the line item under parks improvements?
Yes. This would have been the designation that was in part of the parks. It had Ojibwe, the Gateway Project. Yeah.
And what was that initial line item, what was the amount in the initial line item appropriated by council for that amount in 2023?
The entire
I don't
ARPA
know.
allocation?
It was,
for-
I don't know.
it was the one for Ojibwe Embankment Project and other park improvements.
I don't have that number in front of me. I couldn't.
I think it was either 5 or 9 million in the, I was just wondering how much is left in that particular account?
These, I think the two projects, this trail and the lights will take care of that funding.
Yeah, well then, yeah, because then the remaining balance is going towards the boat launch project in the Upper Hoyt.
So the rest of the parks funding is getting doled out to the 3 items that we're voting on today, plus this item?
Well, two of the Lee Street, there's the Lee Street, the Upper Hoyt, and the boat launch is multiple funding sources, because the Lee Street is coming out of road money, water money, sewer money, because that's what we're doing there. But the reconstruction of the boat launch is coming from ARPA, and a portion of the Upper Hoyt is coming from ARPA.
I think actually all of the Upper Hoyt is general fund now.
Well, with the budget adjustment that's being done today, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, thanks, Tim, for that.
yes.
But this will expend all of it. I mean, to answer your question, I think there's like $980,000 left.
So we're pulling from the general fund now for the Upper Hoyt project and then draining the last of the parks project for this allocation.
Yes.
And the allocation for trail is
140.
140,000, and for the Upper Hoyt is how much?
The Upper Hoyt is, well, right now,
The
we're
150, the
allocating
same
150 from general fund. We're currently, I think Phil and Friends of Hoyt Park are working to find the remainder of that.
Yep.
Funding through on other partner sources.
Okay, so while we can't use ARPA dollars, as you said, to grant ourselves a recurring cost over time, such as for salaries or wages, we could use general fund money to do that on the Parks and Maintenance Division.
Yeah, you could use general fund operating funds. The allocation for the Hoyt Park Drive is from general fund balance, which you do not want to start allocating fund balance for continuing operations because that's not sustainable either.
Correct, but we're also, what is the current plan to work together with the county to fill these maintenance positions, and who's responsible for maintaining, rather those hiring decisions and long-term maintenance?
Yeah, that's part of day-to-day operations, so Phil and I will probably start further discussions with the county parks and work with county administration to see if that moves forward. Reminder that Phil also had provided information for additional maintenance staffing for parks that was, I think about just over $200,000. That would have to be something that was added to.
Almost 300, I think, Tim, yep.
300?
Yep.
Is there a, so I noted that in the memo, it mentioned that part of the cost considerations was because there is a current contractor that's already out there that still has the equipment to be able to move this amount and do it there as well. So if they still have the equipment out there, is moving the boulders really that much money if we still have the equipment out there?
What does
Yeah.
it have to do with this motion?
Well, the boulders are a different contractor too, Carly. That was Garpio Construction, not Fisher, so yeah. But and there's not a lot of earthwork. I mean, we got to scrape off about 10 inches and put some stone and asphalt in. And
Are we trying to?
I appreciate it. I'll motion to approve.
All in favor?
Is there a second?
Oh,
Needs a
sorry.
second.
Okay.
And then you need to allow for other discussion. If there is any.
Okay.
Thank you.
Get your second.
Oh, we vote now because we got the second?
You're
Or
still
she's
under discussion, but because Councilmember Young has not
Other-
spoken yet.
It was her
Okay.
exception, so she's the only one who's allowed to ask questions. Now that you have a motion on the floor, if there's any other member of council who would like to discuss it, they may do so.
So Councilman Young.
Call for the vote.
It's out of order.
It's actually not out of order.
She said support.
Yes, it is.
So we call for the
There
vote.
was no other people that hadn't spoken yet that were waiting to be recognized, so since.
I had
he-
not spoken to the motion.
You had.
No, I had not.
You held it out with
That
all
was
of the
not the motion.
questions.
There was no motion on the floor. I can't speak twice to a discussion on a motion if the discussion hasn't opened
There was a
yet.
motion on the floor to approve the item, which you made, and Councilman Balls seconded. You already did your discussion prior to that.
It's not discussion.
Yes, it is.
I'll
So
appeal
call
the-
for the vote then.
Yep, take your vote on the call for the vote.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye for call for the vote.
Correct.
Aye.
Aye.
Any
All
opposed?
any opposed, say nay.
Okay, now you go to your vote for 29.
Okay, so motion for 29, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, or opposed, say nay.
All right, we will move on to item number 32. It's to approve the purchase with Xylem View for $599,000 for fiscal year 2027, and pending budget approval, $47,000 for fiscal year 2028, and $48,400 for fiscal year 2029 for professional services for the Water and Wastewater Treatment Services Department Water Treatment Plant. That was also Councilmember Hammond.
Hi, Mike. Thank you. My question is, I was reviewing the contract, and it just seemed really opaque, and I know that you're really good at explaining things for the.
Not in the contracts, but the water science, yes.
Well, I was just
Yeah.
mostly, I was just trying to figure out what exactly it's supposed to be used for, because it's a pretty hefty allocation, and I wanted to know, like, for the amount of money, like, what exactly do we need it for? And how are we going to be utilizing this technology to?
That I can help with. So what this does is, last year, we went ahead and implemented a Xylem platform over at our wastewater plant. That involves metering out inside our collection system. We have a really, really good idea what happens inside each of those buildings. We don't have as tight of an idea what happens out inside the collection system on wastewater. And what this one is for is to start figuring out exactly what's going on water age-wise out in the distribution system. We've had some problems with some of our customer systems running afoul of disinfection byproduct numbers. So one of the things that the state's leaning on us for is to put treatment in. That would be a significant cost. What this kind of thing would do for us is to be able to go ahead and say, hey, pick somebody, could be us. The water over here is getting a little old. Send out an email, send that over to Phil's crew, hey, can you go flush? Or we need to look at flushers, or we need to look at resizing pipes, and to drive some other things. But this is our entry into data science. We generate a crazy amount of numbers in multiple formats. What these folks do, this stuff's out of Spain, but they're able to pull all that together, build those models for us, build that science. So the initial, just short of 600, is to get that implemented. The ongoing costs are to keep it working. And to be out straight with you, if this keeps working like I've seen it work at other places and it's working on our wastewater system, you'll see me back asking for more, because we can either drive efficiencies, save money in our operations. Once it rolls into the treatment floor, it can drive decision-making for our operators, and it's the way everything's going.
So it's data sharing among you, a bunch of points of
It spans multiple databases, so it doesn't care what database it's pulling from, and then takes that and knits it together, and then the thing that makes it expensive is the machine learning that they apply to that. It's not AI, I get hollered at anytime I call it AI, so it's machine learning. And then it uses that to crank out numbers for our operators to do the modeling, to go ahead, like I said, that's what we're looking at outside our collection system. We talk about RTB, overflows, maybe we can make one of those go away, maybe we add a couple gates, and we could save hopefully some substantial amount of money. But it's to be able to utilize that data that we've been generating.
Okay, and then for the machine learning, is it that, do we have our own technicians using the software, or do you have to like interface with their people?
No, it's
produce the models?
the front end that our operators and our staff can work. I could teach any is to click your way through that. It's pretty straightforward. The back end that knits that all together, that's what you're paying for.
Gotcha.
Is all the integration that happens on the back side and the learning, the science and the modeling.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, thank you. All motion to approve.
Second. Got a second? Okay. All in favor?
Sorry, who was the second?
Heidi.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Yep, up for discussion. He has some questions.
Yes. This money's gonna come out of the wastewater fund? and
This is for drinking water.
So it's gonna come out of the drinking fund?
Correct.
Okay. So we got the money in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Motion is approved. On to board, commission, and committee reports.
Are there any reports?
Hi,
Sales.
I attended myself and I can't remember who attended with. Oh, that was Toby. We went to the Riverfront Development Commission and we talked about a lot of things. I don't think we had quorum, but we talked about the medical diamond, and CMU is about to name a new dean of medicine. Saginaw Valley is they're raising funds for their downtown campus. The DDA talked about the Rotary Club and how they're restoring the Crayola Park currently. We talked about how Beautification Day could be our niche at the Riverfront Development Commission. One thing that they're working on for Beautification Day is showcasing the informational plaques. They're killing a bunch of weeds and the weeds around the boxes, the information plaques around the riverfront, so that's what they're doing right now. And they talked about Ojibwe Island. I know Toby, I don't know if he wants to say anything about that.
Yeah, during the riverfront development, it was my first meeting, and when the topic of Ojibwe came up, I gave the suggestion too, which wouldn't incur huge cost, but could help the beautification of the island. Is on the, I think it's the west side of the island. They call it Lake, what is it called?
Lake Linton.
Lake Linton. On that side, the water is calm. It's not any traffic. That's usually where you store the docks. And I was suggesting that maybe like a kayak boat launch, because when you have children learning to kayak, you don't want them in the river with both traffic. It's deeper water. That would be a good place for youth to learn to kayak, and then they have access to the river when they get more experience. And it's not too much to like kind of clear the bank, and they have like portable dock systems, you know, like for jet skis to come on or launches. Because actually I told them to go and take a look at Stevens Park in Bridgeport. I actually fish off of that portable kayak launch, so it wouldn't cost too much to put that launch there, and then maybe that could, you know, give us access to do something like paddle boats and stuff like that on the inside of the island and add to the beautification and more activities out there. So, you know, with me living on a river, you know, that's why I wanted to get on the commission to put some input and to kind of help some things along the river and have more entertainment. So they all were receptive of that and took some notes on a few of the river suggestions that I had. So it was a good meeting.
Anybody else?
On to appointment of board, commission, and committee members.
I need a motion to approve, leaving room for exceptions.
So move.
Second.
Are there any exceptions?
Are there any exceptions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
All right, on to resolutions. The first is authorizing an installment purchase contract for equipment.
I need a motion to adopt.
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Any discussion?
All those in favor?
All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
On to our second resolution. It's objecting to the transfer of tax reverted properties.
I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
All right, on to miscellaneous business. We have one item listed there. It's the consideration of a FOIA appeal filed by Abdibasid Abukar.
We need a motion to hold the city's amended response to Abasad Abkar's FOIA request.
I'll make that motion. Motion to uphold the city's amended response to.
You don't have to say
Mr.
it.
Abukar's?
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Evercar's FOIA request.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Any discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, the discussion. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
We're still under miscellaneous business.
Is there any other motions?
Yeah. I think I have a motion. I mean, it's considering the fact that we don't have anybody to man our parks. And you're trying to do that for how much an hour, Phil?
What's that?
How much do you willing to pay?
So they're called celebration park attendants, they're just seasonal employees.
And how much you paying them an hour?
I think it's like $14 or $15.
But the average pay for park attendants is anywhere between $18 and $20 an hour in the state of Michigan. I mean, it seems like we need to, if we want to have good parks, then I think we need to pay these people the rate that the state of Michigan is normally paying for the people, because if we don't have, you got a park, you got a nice park, and put all this money in the park, and then the bathroom looks like something that they do in there. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense to me. I mean, we got to pay the people to keep the bathrooms clean.
So for our part-time and seasonal employees, that's an entire package of rates. So that's, if you'd like to get a report on that, we can get that from HR from you, but it's not, that wage is not just park attendants, that's several employees in our part-time pay scale. And I would defer to our HR director.
Stay below the SEIU
Okay.
rate.
We'll get you the reasoning behind that, because we have all of our union contract rates already, so they kind of run the part-time seasonal rates off from the union contract rates. So we can get you that information.
Do you have to run it off that rate?
Well, I mean, I think we have some bargaining issues if we go aside from the contracts. I think one of the, as Councilman Hammond mentioned a few times, working with the county, I don't know what their pay scale is, but the Parks Director and I have had conversations before, and we can certainly escalate those going into the next year for next summer for parks workers, but the county, I think, hires 60 or more parks employees every year.
How much they pay?
I don't know what they pay.
I think we should
But
find-
rather than increasing our pay, it may be beneficial for us to simply pay county parks for the use of those employees, since they're hiring a large pool anyway, so that we can create that economy of scale and potentially move employees around as well. So I would like to explore that option going into the next year if the county is agreeable to that. Pending that, I think, we can look at the overall part-time rates citywide. Right now, our current union contracts expire June 30th. So they expire at the end of this month. We're in negotiations with all of our units right now.
So could we have the county pay part of that pay, so we can get people in there? And we can pay, whatever we say we can pay, can the county pay the other $4 or $5 and make it 18 to 20 bucks an hour?
Well, maybe at just a point where we can get a contract, not to speak, because we haven't gotten into those details with the county, but I think everything can be on the table.
Well, it'd be nice if you guys take a look at that before the fourth to get here.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to do a deal for this year, but for Phil's staff right now, really what we do is we move them all over. So for even parks mowing, they're the same, I think they're the same crew that does all of the boulevards mowing. So our employees move throughout the city, for the bathrooms and stuff. Those are just the attendants that are there on site. But we do have, we have built in our system, we have the ability to open the bathrooms on Ojibwe, even remotely. The issue will be, do we have staff there that can monitor that?
So do you have somebody that can go there and clean them out periodically? Can someone go and clean the bathrooms up on the weekends? Can you get someone on your staff to do that?
I think on some of the, even like Sunday, we talked about having the drive fully open. We can have the restrooms open on Sunday, because we do plan to have staffing there Sunday. Not necessarily full staff, but they could clean up Monday then.
Right.
But they can be staffed there so they can be open.
All right.
So just for clarity though,
We are-
you started out like you were making a motion, you're not making a motion?
No.
I was gonna make a motion to discuss park maintenance and then go into discussion.
You're all set then?
No, make a motion to discuss park maintenance.
Me to make the we
No,
were already.
I made the motion.
Oh,
So that we can actually
second.
discuss it. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Just because we were not in their order. I guess, I
Hang
agree.
on, was the motion just made?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, there was no vote on it, and
You gotta
I
approve it.
don't think a motion for discussion is
It's under
in
miscellaneous.
order.
Right.
We don't need a motion to have just general discussion?
No.
Under
But this is the time for motions.
Typically not just for general, open-ended discussion.
Go for it.
So he
Go
had,
for it.
So I was hoping to discuss a,
But there's still been no vote on this motion. That's not that on the table.
Point of order. Point of order. That should have been on the manager's report. That really should be on the manager's report, on our agenda.
What is it that we're trying to discuss?
She wants to discuss park maintenance. That should have been discussed under the manager's report. That's where you have the ability to discuss these things. Right now, there's a motion for discussion. You're just going to talk again. It's not a business motion that we're
Correct.
going to settle something.
did you have a motion?
I don't have a motion.
Okay. So, can we get a motion to adjourn then?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Hold on. You're still under miscellaneous business. Make sure there are no members that want to make an action item motion.
Okay. Does anybody want to make an action item motion?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
So we talked about the nuisance ordinance under the manager's report. It was brought up that we could put it out for people to view. So I would like to make a motion that we introduce it on July 27th at the next council meeting. That gives people a month. You just need a
Second.
Second, I'm just gonna say, does he need a second?
You said the July 27th?
Yeah, that'll be our last meeting in July.
Can you repeat that motion, Bill?
I'd like to make a motion that we introduce our nuisance ordinance that we discussed under the manager's report tonight at the city council meeting, July 27th, 2026. That we introduce it.
So,
It's just being introduced, it's not be adopted.
okay, so we don't have to vote on it?
You do have to vote on it. Councilmember
Yeah.
Young had the second, but you're in discussion now.
Yep.
Okay, and you have, okay.
I was just wondering if making this motion, basically, does that lock us into introducing this draft without changes on June 27th, or does it allow us to make changes?
Because we're going to meet on the 13th, and that gives 2 weeks or more for folks to see it on our city website. They can come to that meeting under public input and make recommendations, and then you still have to the 27th to make changes.
So it's for the general spirit of the ordinance being discussion, not as it's written right now? Okay.
But it would be introduced on the 27th. And if you introduce it,
I've been trying.
then you're going to look to adopt it
This one's-
30 days
I've been trying to say something way back when Mr. Bars was discussing the employees. So
I'm sorry.
I wanted to make a comment on that, but we kind of kept going and went on to other topics, but I've been trying to
We have
You
to
know-
stay on the topic of this one right now.
Yeah,
I have to stay on the topic of this one right now.
Yeah,
I
we're doing
never
motion.
even, when he stopped, I never even had the opportunity, and I've had my hand up, and the discussions went to 2 or 3 others, when I was just going to make a comment and a suggestion on what he spoke on.
The problem is though, he didn't make a motion for you to even have discussion under. He led in like he was going to make a motion and then he
Okay,
didn't.
and that's how the discussion started?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But we're still under discussion for Councilman Ostash's nuisance ordinance.
Do you guys have any discussion on council? Okay. So do we have to vote on that? Okay. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
You're still under miscellaneous business.
Anybody else?
Is this a point where I can make my comment about a
Do you
previous?
have a
discussion?
motion?
A motion, okay, well, never mind, I'm just ready to.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.